Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening. She's a great example. Every year, a bunch of idiots confess to her. Just watch how she handles it. Kaguya-san. I already asked her. Oh? And what did she say? Kaguya's stance was honestly confusing. Tsubame tapped her chin with a finger. At first, she told me to reject him cleanly. But then she said outright rejection was too harsh. TCH, indecisive as usual. Rinji scoffed and said to Tsubame, you have to be clear and firm. If you leave any ambiguity, it can lead to real trouble. If the rejection isn't thorough, the guy might think he still has a shot. He'll keep bothering you, gradually getting worse. Showing up wherever you are, following you when you go out alone. Yikes. Tsubame shuddered at the thought. Just imagining it gave her chills. And because he never gets closure, his behavior will spiral. Stealing your underwear, mailing you creepy stuff, and even threatening any new boyfriend you get. And it all starts because you didn't reject him properly. Tsubame trembled uncontrollably. If that ever really happened, she didn't think she could handle it. So just reject him early. You'll be saving yourself and helping a lost soul find their way. Rinji shrugged. I just don't see what's so hard about saying no. Because once I reject him, we probably can't even be friends anymore. Tsubame muttered. We go to the same school. It'll be awkward seeing him again. And I'm scared I'll hurt his feelings too badly. It won't be that bad. Rinji reassured her. I was rejected by a girl once too. But we're still on good terms. We talk at school, and we even hung out during the festival. Sure, it hurt at first. But give it a year and he'll be fine. I see. Exactly. Rinji said with a smile. If it comes to it, just tell me that boy's name. Once you've rejected him, I'll give him some psychological counseling. He was already thinking that if the guy kept pestering her, he'd just drop him in Afghanistan. There was no way he'd allow any mess to get in the way of Ishigami's love life. Thank you very much, Rinji. Tsubame stood up and bowed to Rinji. You'll need to guide Yukon a bit when the time comes. Yeah, no problem. Wait, who did you just say? Yukon. Tsubame said. Isn't he a good friend of yours? Rinji, you usually care a lot about him, right? So for this matter. Huh? Rinji, why are you sweating so much? Rinji still wore the same calm expression in front of her, but sweat was dripping from his forehead onto the floor. No, I'm fine. Rinji spoke as he trembled slightly, pulling out a pack of cigarettes from his pocket, taking one and putting it in his mouth. Not a problem at all. Ah. Rinji, you can't smoke in school, and you put the cigarette in backwards. Tsubame cried out. At that moment, Rinji had shoved the lit end into his mouth and was trying to light the filter. Cough cough. Toyasu-senpai. I think directly rejecting a guy like that could be a little too cruel. After all, he worked up the courage to confess. Not giving him even a chance seems harsh. Why the sudden change of heart? Obviously because the one who confessed was Ishigami. Rinji, sweating buckets, forced himself to sound calm. Thinking it through, Ishigami's a good guy. His character is solid, he is kind. At least give him a chance. You idiot, Ishigami. How could you confess something so huge without telling me first? Do you even realize how much trouble delayed intel can cause? As Rinji mentally berated Ishigami, a sudden realization hit him. I sent her a giant heart-shaped object. They say giving someone a heart-shaped gift at the Hoshin festival leads to eternal love. It's me who screwed up, huh? Rinji's eyes turned into endless spirals. Rinji, I think I should still. Toyasu-senpai, this kind of thing needs to be considered carefully. Rinji said, lowering his head in persuasion. All he could do now was silently apologize to Ishigami. But what about the consequences you mentioned earlier? That kind of thing would never happen with Ishigami. We've worked together for so long. I know him. I see. Tsubame let out a small sigh, then stood up and stretched. Rinji and Kaguya-san know Ishigami-kun well, but honestly, I don't know him as much. So I guess I'll just take things step by step. Making a decision too early would be rash. Haha, senpai, I'm really glad you think that way. Rinji gave a dry laugh. Click. After walking into the student council office, Rinji silently closed the door. Ishigami was sitting on the couch, playing a handheld game. Seeing Rinji return, he turned and asked, "So, what did Koyasu-senpai say?" "She didn't say anything specific, and she's not mad. You can go talk to her tomorrow without worry." "That's a relief." Hearing that, Ishigami let out a deep breath of relief. Rinji then walked over, sat beside him, and put a hand on his shoulder. "Ishigami, I just realized I did something really unfair to you." "Huh? If there's anything you want, just say it. I'll do my best to make it happen." "You make it sound so serious," Ishigami said, assuming Rinji was joking. "Then, how about you dress up as a maid?" Hey, you're not rejecting that?" Ishigami stared at Rinji with wide eyes. "What exactly did you do?" Chapter 399, One Day Maid Experience. We're back. Finally. So tired. After the festival ended and most students had left the school, the student council members slowly returned to the office. Everyone looked worn out from a full day of work. Except Fujiwara, who had spent most of her time running around the school after performing in the morning. Shirogane sat at his desk and wiped off his sweat. A maid beside him handed him a freshly brewed cup of tea. "Good work today, President. Please have some tea." "Oh, thanks." Taking the cup, Shirogane took a small sip and leaned back in his chair. Overall, he felt a bit of comfort. After a tiring day, it was nice to return to the office and drink tea brewed by a sweet-looking maid. "Wait. Maid?" Shirogane quickly turned his head and saw a beautiful maid with shoulder-length blonde hair standing politely with a tray. "Miss, who are you?" "It's me, President." The maid smiled warmly. Shirogane ran through the faces of every girl he knew but found no match for this stunning beauty. But there was one guy who came to mind. "Rinji?" As expected of the president. The maid, or rather, Rinji, confirmed his suspicion. "Why are you dressed like this?" "A lot happened, okay?" Not just Shirogane, but Ino and Kaguya, who returned with him, also stared wide-eyed. Fujiwara was already inspecting Rinji closely. Rinji was wearing a traditional maid outfit. A long dress, not the mini-skirt cafe type. The overall aura was calm and dignified. If they didn't know who he was, they would have assumed she was a maid from some prestigious family. After staring at the maid Rinji for a moment, everyone's gaze turned to Ishigami. He'd been in the office alone earlier, so he must know the inside story. Feeling their pressure, Ishigami shrank back and mumbled, "I was just joking, okay?" Rinji suddenly said he felt guilty about something, so I said, "Then wear a maid outfit to apologize," and, well, here we are. Fujiwara, Ishigami-kun actually admitted it. "I know, using someone's guilt like that. You're trash." Ishigami, hey. That's harsh. I didn't really mean it. I still don't even know what he did. Using someone without knowing what they did? That's shameless. Ino stared at him like he was some kind of insect. Ishigami, speechless, just slumped even lower. Kaguya wasn't too surprised. She smiled and sat down on the couch, then turned to Rinji and said, "Maid-san, please pour me some tea." "Yes." Without argument, Rinji gracefully poured tea from the pot and handed it to Kaguya. "Please enjoy, my lady." Kaguya nodded in satisfaction. After taking a sip, she said, "The temperature and leaf ratio are well controlled. But your pouring technique needs improvement." "Understood." "If only you could be this cute all the time, Rinji." Kaguya was ecstatic. She was usually stressed out by Rinji every day, but now that he was in maid attire, she finally had a chance to strike back. Everyone knew Rinji's personality shifted slightly when cross-dressing. Ishigami whispered, "Shinomiya-senpai's so mean. Bullying him now that he's weak." "Maid-san," Kaguya said while elegantly sipping tea, eyes half-lidded, "would you mind telling us what exactly you did to Ishigami-kun?" "That's hard to explain." Maid Rinji smiled. "According to Koyasu-senpai, I think I did something similar to what you did, Lady Shinomiya." Kaguya's smile froze. Beads of sweat rolled down her forehead. Her body trembled, and the teacup clinked against the saucer. Haha. That's quite something." "Ishigami, huh?" Kaguya turned toward him with a tearful face. "Ishigami-kun, I think I also did something awful to you." "Wait. If you want anything, just ask. I'll do everything I can to make it up to you." "Ishigami?" He could already sense this was going somewhere very bad. "Rinji looks amazing like this," Fujiwara said, lounging on the couch, legs crossed, speaking lazily. Maid, tea. Yes. Serves tea, shoulder massage. Yes. MMHM. Just like that. Fujiwara's lips curled into a wide W shape as she enjoyed the shoulder massage from Rinji. Rinji-kun, maybe you should just stay like this. Ishigami said, Fujiwara-senpai, if you're going to mess around, better do it while you still can. Once Rinji comes to his senses, you'd better pray. But is it really okay for Rinji-kun to stay like this? Ino looked at Rinji with concern. Rinji-kun doesn't like dressing like this, does he? I do hate it. Rinji replied with a polite smile. But this is my punishment for the wrong I did. Forcing myself to do something I dislike is a way to discipline my immature self. I see. Ino mumbled softly. There's no need to go this far for someone like Ishigami. Ishigami, I can hear you, you know. Don't worry about me, Ino-san. Rinji walked up to Ino and gently patted her head. You're already excellent for caring this much about your classmates. Eh? Really? Yeah, and you're very cute too. The compliments hit Ino directly in the heart. She seemed to genuinely enjoy being praised and patted by Rinji, squinting her eyes like a kitten. In that moment, she really wished Rinji could always stay this way. Chapter 400, No Way Ah. I kinda want to own a maid like this. Enjoying Rinji's attentive service, Fujiwara relaxed on the sofa with narrowed eyes. Rinji, in maid mode, took care of her thoroughly. Just like a real maid. Fujiwara suddenly hugged Rinji beside her and squished his cheeks with both hands. Why don't you just come home with me? Fujiwara-senpai, do you realize you're trying to abduct a junior right now? Ishigami said. Also, there's something I need to point out. The reason Rinji-ji is wearing this maid outfit is out of guilt toward me. I still don't know what exactly happened, but I was the cause. And? So? Ishigami's eyes sharpened as he pointed to himself. Rinji should be my exclusive maid. Everyone went silent. While wondering where Ishigami got the courage, they also felt like he wasn't wrong. No way. Fujiwara still held on tightly to Rinji. Rinji-kun doesn't belong to you. Then who was the one trying to lure him home just now? Ishigami sighed and glanced toward Ino. Speaking of which, as the strict disciplinary committee member, shouldn't you be patrolling right now? How could you just let Rinji stay like this? Well. Ino blushed and looked away. This version of Rinji was gentle, composed, and complimented her. Compared to the confusing and often abrasive version of him, she definitely didn't want to see that side return. She genuinely wished he could always be this kind. Ah, right. Rinji clapped his hands with a smile. I need to go patrol now. Sorry, Ishigami, I need to go change clothes. With that, Rinji gave a slight bow and stepped into the hidden room behind the student council office. Ishigami instantly regretted speaking up. Not long after, the cabinet in front of the room opened, and Rinji came out dressed in his male uniform, hair slicked back neatly. His eyes were sharper than usual. Okay, time to deal with those troublemakers. Since the maid outfit had been a self-imposed punishment, Rinji didn't blame anyone in the student council. But his mood definitely wasn't good. He put on a disciplinary committee armband and walked past Ino. Let's go, Ino. Ah, right. Ino quickly responded and jogged after him. Everyone else watched in silence as the two disappeared through the door. That's terrifying. Ishigami muttered. Rinji's ability to charm both men and women is honestly scary. Maybe he doesn't realize it himself. Shirogane said with a chuckle. Lots of people in our class like him. Boys and girls alike. After that duet performance with Fujiwara, his popularity rose even higher. Rinji had become one of the most popular students at Shuchen thanks to the student council, the sports festival, and the Hashin festival. If only Rinji-kun could always be this gentle. Fujiwara said with a smile. I think he's already plenty gentle. Shirogane replied. At least, that's how I see him. You really think so? Yeah. Shirogane smiled. Even with all the weird stuff he does, I've always thought he's close to perfect. If not for his gender. President. Kaguya suddenly appeared in front of Shirogane, her gaze heavy and unreadable. President, you don't like boys, do you? Huh? Tell me you don't. What are you even saying, Shinamiya? Rinji's a guy. There's no way I'd think like that. Ha ha ha, I thought so too. After getting her answer, Kaguya chuckled behind her hand. But she silently added, Rinji really is terrifying. Hey, it's clearing time. Why are you still in school? Go home. Why yes, sir. During patrol, Rinji scolded a few lingering students and sent them on their way. His mood wasn't great. If any unruly students tried to defy him, things could turn ugly fast. Fortunately, everyone they encountered listened to him obediently. Ino walked beside Rinji, feeling somewhat drained. She wasn't physically tired. She just felt the difference between them. When she patrolled as a disciplinary member, getting students to comply took a lot of effort. Often, she got talked back to or ignored. That had been her experience since middle school. Even though she enforced rules strictly, few truly respected her. But when Renji handled things, it was clean and immediate. Most students either admired or feared him. Almost no one dared challenge him. That was the difference in authority. Sometimes she wondered, what would it be like if she were Renji? To stand beside Fujiwara-senpai. To command both fear and respect. I know, can I ask you something? What is it? She quickly snapped out of her thoughts. Tomorrow's the last day of the Hoshin festival. Renji said. There's also the bonfire party. You probably want to go, right? Yes, but we're supposed to patrol tomorrow. Don't worry about that. I'll patrol for you. Huh? Seeing Aino's confused look, Renji smiled. You were the one who proposed and worked hard for that bonfire party. It would be a shame if you couldn't attend. I'll talk to the committee. Just go and enjoy it. Of course, Renji had his own reasons for this. He'd already worked things out with Shirogane days ago. To make sure he could be with Kaguyan on the last day of the festival. If he spent that evening with Aino, a lot of things would become inconvenient. So he had to ensure they'd be apart that night. Hi everyone, this will probably be the last chapter 1 post of this fic. I originally planned to stop translating this on around 300 chapters but decided to push through 400 chaps. Although I may still post now and then, but even that's not a guarantee. The reason I said this will be the last chapter is because I won't be focusing on this fic anymore and I might even abandon it completely. Thanks everyone. The original currently has about 1400 plus chapters, so here's the title if you're interested. Chapter 401, May all good things arrive as promised. Kinda irresponsible to leave an arc half finished, so I'll continue the translation until the end of festival arc. 1 week ago President, about what we discussed for the second day of the festival. Wait, what are you wearing? Renji, you're here. When Renji walked into the student council room, the first thing he saw was Shirogane in a cape and top hat. Shirogane hadn't noticed him and was striking poses in front of a mirror. When he finally saw Renji, his face turned red instantly. Posing dramatically alone was fine, but being seen by someone else was something else entirely. Don't mind me, President. Keep going. Like hell I can keep going like this. Shirogane took off the hat with a sigh. As you can see, this is all prep for the last day of the festival. Oh? Seeing Renji confused, Shirogane handed him a card. Renji took the card and examined its contents. The format resembled that of a crime notice, with the phrase "I will take the next item" written at the top. Below it were several drawings of clocks, each showing a different time. The signature at the bottom read, Arsene Lupin. Arsene Lupin. Renji, did you figure anything out? I figured out that the president has a hidden Chuni side. That's not what I meant for you to see. Shirogane's face turned red. I meant, do you understand the purpose of the card? The purpose, huh? Renji looked again at the clocks drawn on the card. Each one marked a different time. If it were a riddle, there should be some pattern to the times. But Renji couldn't find any clear pattern between them. I don't think there's actually an answer. He said. President, you probably made this card to attract someone's attention or to trap someone into wasting time solving a fake puzzle. As expected of you. No one in the student council understands me better. Shirogane smiled lightly. Of course, your thinking is pretty easy to read. Renji smiled as well and walked behind Shirogane's desk, picking up 2 more cards from the table. One of them felt noticeably different from the other 2. More rigid. Inorganic ceramic fiber paper, huh? This kind of material has low thermal conductivity, is flame resistant, and easy to cut. It's usually used as insulation for electronic devices. You even know about this? I know a little about materials science. Renji said with a smile. This is for the bonfire party, isn't it? I can already guess. You'll be up on the school rooftop that night. Geez. I really can't hide anything from you, huh? You always figure out what I'm planning so easily. Shirogane gave a wry smile. If only Shinomiya could understand me that well. She will. I think Shinomiya knows you even better than I do. Renji stepped in front of Shirogane, took the round-brimmed hat off his head, and put it on himself. With a smile, he said, May all good things arrive as promised. Shuchin's Arsene Lupin. December 21st, the second and final day of the Hoshin festival. The students, who should have been filled with excitement, all stopped in their tracks as soon as they entered the campus. According to tradition, heart-shaped balloons were supposed to be hung throughout the school building during the Hoshin festival. They were all blown up with the combined effort of many students. But overnight, Those heart-shaped balloons had mysteriously disappeared. What happened? Where are the balloons? Who pulled this prank? This is so lame. As everyone murmured and speculated in confusion, Renji, blending in with the crowd, wore a subtle smile. Looks like the president's plan is underway. Then Hey, what are you spacing out for? A familiar voice called out behind him. Ryuju Momo, wearing her signature beret, walked up and grabbed Renji's shoulder. Weren't you supposed to spend the day with me? Of course, I haven't forgotten. Renji smiled. She had claimed this morning's time slot. On the second day of the festival, Renji was to accompany her. Where should we go? Anywhere. They didn't discuss where to go further, yet naturally walked toward the interior of the school building in sync. Renji and Momo were very familiar with each other by now. So much so that they didn't need to talk things through. Their presence together attracted attention. As they walked down the hallway, students instinctively made way. The reason was simple, neither of them were to be trifled with. Ryuju Momo, secretary of the 66th Student Council, currently one of the club union VIPs, daughter of the boss of the largest Yakuza group in Kanto, the Ryuji Kagumi. She had a beautiful face, but her usual fierce gaze was enough to scare away most would-be admirers. Her demeanor was like that of a delinquent girl. And Renji was even more infamous. A bizarre transfer student who caused some major incident every semester and often got suspended. Yet never seemed to face consequences. Together, they were considered the most dangerous pair in Shuchen. Plus, both belonged to the astronomy club. Privately, students often speculated that the two were a couple. After all, no one knew that Renji's actual girlfriend was from another school. Students just assumed that only someone as dangerous as Momo could be with someone like Renji. And Momo certainly fit the bill. Just as Shirogane had said before, Renji's impressive performances had caught the attention of many girls. But most of them didn't dare confess. Not because they knew he had a girlfriend, but because they feared she might be Momo. No one wanted to risk angering her. Looks like the students are really afraid of us. Of course they are. Momo smiled unusually. It's rare to see us together in public like this. I think they're mostly afraid of you. I've mellowed out a lot since before. That's true. Life at school really has changed you. She stared at Renji's face. When I met you 4 years ago, I thought you were terrifying. Now, you're not so bad. Not so bad, huh? I mean it in a good way. I find you pretty agreeable. Well, thank you. That makes me happy. Renji smiled. I think you're great too. MMHM. Is that so? Of course. I've told you long ago. You're the best woman. Tell that to your girlfriend instead. Though she sounded annoyed, Momo turned her head away with a blush. Getting that kind of praise clearly pleased her. Ah, Karura really is the perfect woman. Chapter 402, Shinamiya's Calculation. You want to go in here? Let's take a look. Momo and Renji stopped in front of a classroom. Class 2B's room. This was Shirogane and Fujiwara's class. Fujiwara, having already participated in the performance, didn't have much to do for the class event. Shirogane, though busy preparing for the festival as student council president, still had responsibilities to help out in his own class. Class 2B was running a balloon booth. Welcome. Oh, Takamen-kun and Ryuju-san. They were greeted by Kashiwagi Nagiza. What a rare pairing. I don't think I've ever seen you two together before. That's because we usually hang out on the rooftop. No wonder you haven't seen us. Renji said. I see. Let me check if there are any open booths nearby. Kashiwagi turned to look. The booth setup was simple. A student seated behind a desk, with a pile of long balloons next to them. Customers would choose a shape, and the student would twist a balloon into the requested form. The price was 100 yen per balloon. That meant each use cost 100 yen. Looks like there's still an open spot near Shirogane. So the president's here too. Renji looked across the room and saw a middle school girl sitting in front of Shirogane, who had just handed her a balloon twisted into a rabbit. Then, just as he was about to walk over, Renji noticed Kaguya Shinamiya approaching from a distance. Kashiwagi-san. Yes. Just wondering, how long is the president's shift? He's almost done after finishing this balloon. Want me to assign you someone with a longer shift? Renji pointed to the hallway outside. Kashiwagi followed his finger and spotted Kaguya walking their way, glancing shyly around. Good point. Realizing Renji's intent, Kashiwagi smiled. Shirogane-san's about to finish his shift anyway, so it works out. I'll reassign you. Glad you understand. Then, Kashiwagi looked around and spotted another student who had just finished with a customer and now had an open spot. How about go to Maki? Shijo-san? Sure. Kashiwagi led Renji and Momo to the booth where Maki Shijo had just become available. Maki, Please handle these two. Got it. Maki looked up and spotted Renji and Momo. Huh? It's you? Yeah. Quite the unusual pairing. Maki looked from Renji to Momo, a faint smile playing on her lips. I thought you'd bring your girlfriend. Karura couldn't make it these 2 days. So your girlfriend's away and you're out picking up other girls. You really are something. Watch your wording. This is not called cheating. Renji's brow twitched. I've been friends with Momo-senpai for a long time. Huh? Friends, you say? The way you're implying things is really annoying. Whatever. Either way, you're customers now. Maki shrugged and turned to Momo. Ryuju-san, what do you want? I don't really care. Said Momo. I just came with Renji to have a look. I don't particularly want anything. Is that so? Then how about checking the catalog? Maki handed her a product catalog. Although called a catalog, it was actually a magazine, published by Kainosho Book. Kainosho Book was a relatively well-known publisher in the Tokyo area, and member of the news club, Kaino Karen, was the daughter of the company's president. That's the kind of school Shuchin was. Where even a class's cultural festival booth could use a student's family business. While Momo flipped through the magazine, Maki started making balloon sculptures, preparing some popular ones in advance to save time. By the way, I'm a customer too. Aren't you going to ask what I want? I heard from Shirogane-san that you're pretty skilled at balloon art yourself. You can make your own, right? Maki laughed. But compared to me, you're still a bit behind. Oh? Renji's eyes narrowed. Don't believe me? Just look at the work behind me. Maki proudly puffed out her chest and pointed behind her. Indeed, behind her were numerous balloon creations, many of which were extremely complex and not something an average person could manage. Want to have a contest? Said Renji. Challenge accepted. Replied Maki. Then she turned to Momo, who was sitting beside Renji. Momo-senpai, Renji and I are going to have a competition. How about each of us makes something for you? Huh? Feel free to choose any difficulty you want. In that case, I'll choose this crab. Said Momo, pointing to a balloon model shaped like a crab in the magazine. Renji looked at the picture and already figured out how to make it. He picked up a long balloon from the table and was about to start. This one's easy. Wait. Maki stopped him. Making the same thing would be boring. I'll do the crab. Let Momo-senpai pick another one for you. Fine. Pick another one then. Hearing that, Momo could only start flipping through the magazine again. If it's too hard to decide, I'll pick for you. If you can make something more difficult than mine, you win. How about that? Maki grinned wickedly at Renji. Sure. Alright then. Momo-senpai, flip to the last page, bottom right corner. Let Renji make that one. The last page, bottom right. Momo quickly flipped to the last page of the magazine as instructed. When she saw the image, her eyes widened. Then, glancing at the smug smile on Maki's face, she gave her a mental thumbs up. The balloon Maki picked for Renji was heart-shaped. Which meant, in a few moments, Renji would be giving Momo a heart-shaped balloon. Everyone knew what it meant to give a heart-shaped item during the Hoshin festival. Chapter 403, The Phantom Thief. Momo-senpai, have you made your choice? Yeah, I have. Momo nodded calmly, then showed the page to Renji and pointed to the heart-shaped balloon. This one. Looking at the image, Renji's brow furrowed slightly. This design. Maki and Momo watched Renji nervously. Having a boy give a heart-shaped balloon to a girl during the Shuchin festival had a pretty obvious implication. This balloon. Doesn't seem that hard. Fortunately, Renji either didn't realize what it meant, or even if he did, he didn't care. Even after the Ishigami confession misunderstanding, Renji still didn't believe giving a heart-shaped item counted as a confession. Especially in a competition. Momo-senpai, how about picking another one? No, this one. Alright then. Renji picked up a balloon and started twisting it. At the same time, Maki began making her crab. Both of them were very skilled. In their hands, a simple balloon kept transforming like magic. After just 2 minutes, both Renji and Maki finished. In Maki's hands was a crab-shaped balloon, Renji's was heart-shaped. This is so simple, can we really call this a competition? Said Renji. It counts. Let's just say you win this time. Said Maki nonchalantly as she flipped her side ponytail. Something feels off. Nothing's off. Momo picked up both balloons. The crab from Maki and the heart from Renji. Thanks for your gift. Whatever. As long as you're happy, Momo-senpai. Renji took out his wallet. How much for the balloons? Free. A few balloons aren't worth much. Shijo. Maki waved impatiently. You're done now, so go. We've got more customers coming. I'm still a customer. Your attitude needs serious work. Renji left class 2B with Momo. Just before exiting the classroom, Momo stopped and turned to Maki. Thanks. No need. From the moment I saw you, I felt like we're in the same boat. As she said that, Maki looked off to the side, her gaze vacant, her aura dimming slightly. It's like we have the same scent. In the hallway, Momo hugged the heart-shaped balloon made by Rinji. Though her face still looked cold and distant, she was clearly in a good mood. Rinji walked beside her, checking his phone. It was a message from Shirogane, saying she'd be arriving around 1 p.m. Rinji replied that he'd meet her at the school gate. Today was a special day. It was the final day of the Shuchen Festival, and also the day Shirogane was going to try reaching his final goal. Whether he and Kaguya would make it would depend on his performance today, so Rinji planned to help him out during the bonfire event. Judging from the missing balloons earlier, Shirogane had already begun privatizing the Shuchen Festival. So next. Rinji-kun, there you are. Oh, Fujiwara-san. Rinji turned to see Fujiwara rushing over. Aside from her usual school uniform, she now wore a Sherlock Holmes-style detective hat. Rinji-kun, do you know what happened today? What are you referring to? Obviously the disappearance of all the heart-shaped balloons. You're so dense, Rinji-kun. Fujiwara laughed. When she arrived, Momo instinctively hid the heart balloon behind her back. She didn't want everyone knowing about it. Oh, that? Yeah, I noticed. Then do you know the riddle the phantom thief left, huh? This. Fujiwara held up a card in front of Rinji. On the card were pictures of clocks, and at the bottom, it read, Oizo Space. Signed by Arsene Lupin. It was clearly made by Shirogane. A phantom thief has appeared at Shuchen. Looks like it. You don't seem surprised at all. Fujiwara tilted her head. Fujiwara-san, have you forgotten how you usually refer to yourself? My title? Love detective? Exactly. Rinji smiled. If there's a detective, of course a phantom thief would come to challenge them. So, Fujiwara-san, this is a challenge specially made for you. Eh? Really? Fujiwara stared at the card in disbelief. Prepared just for me? That's right. I think the thief is waiting for someone clever enough to solve the riddle. And that person is none other than Shuchen's own love detective. You. Rinji patted her shoulder seriously. This is your chance to make a name for yourself. Or rather, to prove to the thief that you're a worthy rival. I see. I must rise to the occasion. Fujiwara grinned confidently and adjusted her detective hat, looking motivated. Then I'll get going, Rinji-kun. I'm going to solve that riddle. Yeah, go for it. Rinji smiled and waved her off as she ran away. The meddling detective is finally gone. Wasn't that whole thing clearly something Shirogane came up with? Muttered Momo. It really was the president. Wait, you knew? I'm sort of an accomplice to Shirogane. Momo replied flatly. That guy clearly did all this for that Shinomiya heiress. He thinks no one notices, but plenty of people have figured it out. That's to be expected. They draw a lot of attention even on normal days. By the way, there's a place I want to check out. Will you come with me? Momo-senpai, where do you want to go? There. She pointed to a small tent set up along the hallway. On the tent was written, Witch's House. Seeing that tent, Rinji's expression turned a little strange. He and Hayasaka had visited that place just yesterday. Chapter 404, You're truly brave Rinji-kun, you really continue to surprise me. Tenbo-san, this is a misunderstanding. When Rinji and Momo entered the fortune-telling tent run by Tenbo Yumi, who was dressed as a witch, she didn't look surprised. Only clearly pleased. If Momo-senpai wanted to come here, I couldn't stop her. Even though I already came with Hayasaka yesterday. Rinji-kun. Tenbo's expression suddenly turned serious. That was very wrong of you. Huh? How could you mention, in front of one girl, that you came here with another? What's the problem? Of course it's a problem. She said earnestly. Otherwise, how are you supposed to get laid? You've really got me all wrong. And do you always have to use such inappropriate words? She's always like that. Momo didn't seem surprised at Tenbo's comment. She tends to spout dirty jokes whenever she sees people acting like a couple during the Shuchen Festival. Her bad personality is quite well known around school. And not just that. Despite her refined appearance, Tenbo was infamous for her shamelessness. Emotionally impulsive, never holding long-term relationships with any of her boyfriends. I just can't resist teasing them. Tenbo said with a smile. What if they aren't even a couple? I have faith in my fortune-telling. I wouldn't bother joking around with people who have no chance of becoming one. She smiled again. So, Momo-san, Rinji-kun, what would you like me to divine today? I don't have anything to ask, said Rinji. He was just here to accompany Momo. He had nothing in particular to ask. I see. What about you, Momo-san? I've got something I want to ask. Saying that, She suddenly grabbed Rinji's head. Tell me what kind of relationship I'll have with this guy in the future. Eh? Momo-senpai, do you think our friendship won't last? We're practically childhood friends. That kind of worry is. Shut up. Divining your future relationship? That's easy. Tumbo didn't seem fazed at all. She started theatrically rubbing a crystal ball on the table. Can you stop faking it? One hand's on the ball, the other's checking your phone. Some calculations are necessary. Fortune-telling needs to evolve with the times too. So it's just more Barnum effect stuff. I can't believe you actually pulled off this mystical nonsense in school. Can't help it. My family's in the business. She looked up at Rinji. You don't believe in fortune-telling, Rinji-kun? Why would I believe in mysticism that has no scientific basis? Fortune-telling has statistical principles too, and besides. At that moment, she opened her usually half-closed eyes slightly. Rinji-kun, you're not really one to talk, are you? Huh? What do you mean? Isn't alchemy also mysticism with no scientific basis? At that, Rinji fell silent. He raised his head and stared at her sharply. Momo could clearly feel the temperature inside the tent drop. You. What do you know? Nothing. Just a general idea. Seeing that she didn't plan to be honest, Rinji leaned back in his chair and replied calmly, alchemy was the precursor to modern chemistry. There's scientific grounding in it. You're welcome to think that. But the world is more complex than you imagine. Just like I said yesterday in your reading. You might soon encounter something you'd call divine. And it won't take long. Could be today. Could be tomorrow. TCH, you think I'll believe that crap? Despite saying that, deep down, Rinji began to doubt Tumbo's identity. If your prediction comes true, would you mind if I ask a small favor of you, Renji-kun? As long as it's not unreasonable. It should be easy for you. She smiled. But Rinji found that smile increasingly off-putting. What do you want? Introduce me to your father. Why do you want to meet my old man? Tumbo didn't answer. She made a circle with her thumb and forefinger on one hand, and slid her other index finger through it. Anyone could understand what she meant. If you don't want my mom to stick you in a fridge, you'd better not. Just kidding. I just want to ask him a few things. Fine. Only if your prediction turns out right. Unable to take more of Tumbo's shameless behavior, Rinji stepped out of the tent. Inside, only Momo and Tumbo remained. Momo was waiting for the reading. You actually trust me? You're annoying most of the time, but you're good at what you do. She said calmly. Tell me the result. You're awfully impatient. Tumbo let out a light chuckle, clearly teasing her. But Momo's face began to show signs of annoyance. Just say it. There's hope. She clearly froze upon hearing it, then asked softly, Are you serious? Yeah. But the real outcome will depend on tonight. It's up to him whether he can seize his one and only opportunity. What do you mean? I can't say much when it involves others. But it's true. I foresaw this. Rinji-kun has traits that attract women. Oddly enough, he doesn't even have the kind of personality girls normally like. That's what I thought too. She lowered her head slightly, seemingly recalling the past. To me, Rinji was the kind of person who became more addictive the more you got to know him. Wrapped in hostility, he had a gentle side you could barely sense. Back then, I thought only I knew about his charm. Only I could accept that side of him. I believed I had plenty of time to claim him before anyone else noticed that kindness. Then this semester, he suddenly became so popular. Chapter 405, busy from the first time I met him, I thought he was some weirdo out of touch with society. But the lawless recklessness mixed with that unnoticed tenderness. That's what made him so captivating. As she spoke, she gently touched the heart-shaped balloon Rinji had given her. Her eyes grew a little dazed. And back then, that gentleness belonged to me alone. Well, people change. That's what bothers me most. Momo scratched her head in frustration. When he transferred in last semester, I heard he confessed to some other girl 4 years ago. And over summer break, he suddenly ended up with a girlfriend. TCH. What really irked her was that the night before Renji left Tokyo, he almost confessed to her. By his own logic, if she had confessed first, maybe things wouldn't have turned out this way. Don't be so upset. Tumbo laughed. I told you, you still have a chance. You did say that. But you also said it depends on tonight, right? Yeah. That's what my reading suggests. Then, the usually cheerful Tumbo turned serious. But there are still uncertainties. Fortune-telling, at its core, is about inference. From the past to predict the future. But Renji-kun's future is hard to read. So I can only say there's a chance. Even you have uncertainty, with that I'm always in control act? Well, Renji-kun is a special case. She smiled again. Even if I can't see his future, I could see something in the girl who came with him yesterday. So there's a high chance things could go well. Outside the tent, Rinji waited for a bit before Momo finally came out. What did she tell you? Nothing major. Just said we'll probably have a good relationship in the future. That's not surprising. Rinji smiled. I believe no matter what, our relationship will always be good, Momo-senpai. She didn't say it would stay the same, you know. Huh? Forget it. Talking to you too much is pointless. She lightly punched him in the chest. Be sure to give it your all tonight. Huh? Okay. Though Rinji didn't know what she meant, he agreed anyway. Rinji had barely a moment to rest the entire day. After accompanying Momo to the Hashin festival all morning and having lunch together, she left, saying she needed to help out at her club's booth. Rinji wasn't entirely convinced. He'd spent most of the festival so far with her and hadn't heard of any activities from the astronomy club. If there was anything, it was probably a mobile game event. Afternoon, Rinji waited by the school gate. According to the plan, K should be arriving soon. He had promised to accompany her around the festival this afternoon. Leaning against a wall near the gate, Rinji checked his phone. The screen showed the weather forecast, which clearly stated, heavy rain expected in Tokyo today. Affecting all areas except Setagaya and Sujanami. Logically, the Minato district in central Tokyo should be getting rain as well. Rinji looked up. Clear skies. Not even a single cloud in sight. Seriously, weather forecasts are getting worse these days. Rinji. A familiar voice snapped him out of his thoughts. He stood upright and turned. You're here, K. Yeah. Hello. Takuman-senpai, long time no see. You too, Fujiwara. Accompanying K was her younger sister, Fujiwara Moa. Geez, senpai, both my sister and I are Fujiwaras. Just call me Moa. She said with a bright smile. You've been pretty famous in middle school lately, Takuman-senpai. Huh? Your duet with my sister from yesterday got uploaded to the school forum. A bunch of my classmates are asking for your contact info, trying to get to know you through her. As she said this, Moa sneaked a glance at K, mischief in her eyes. But I didn't tell them anything. Thanks for that. So, you came to check out the high school festival too, Moa? Yeah, I heard there's going to be a bonfire party, so I came to see. Oh, and Takuman-senpai, is my sister busy right now? She's facing off against the legendary phantom thief Arsene Lupin. Huh? Anyway, she's not busy. Want me to take you to her? No need. Can you take me to visit the student council office instead? Moa asked. The student council office? Sure, but why? Moa blushed, pressing her hands to her cheeks. Obviously. Because there's someone I want to see. Rinji couldn't figure out what she was getting at, nor did he try too hard. Alright, but I promised Kai'd be with her this afternoon. So Moa, you. Oh, no worries, senpai, you can go on your date with K. Watch your words. If a guy and girl hanging out counts as a date, I've been cheating for months. Right, senpai. K suddenly seemed to remember something. I actually invited someone else over too. Huh? Who? Rinji asked. A friend of yours? Yeah. You've met her before. At that McDonald's in Harajuku. That college girl named Amano? Yup. Is that so? Where is she? She should be on campus already. K sighed. I invited her to our middle school festival before, but she seemed busy. Only today did she suddenly say she could come. Oh. Rinji didn't give it much thought. He'd briefly wondered if she was related to Uncle Amano because of the surname, but upon learning she was in college, he figured they probably weren't related. Chapter 406, Target. Student Council President. This is the Student Council office. Feel free to look around, just don't touch anything. Takuman-senpai is so strict. Don't worry, I won't touch anything. After dropping Moa off at the office, K left for a drink, saying she'd be back soon. Moa curiously scanned the room. After a brief survey, she locked her eyes on the president's desk and plopped into his chair. That seat's for the president. You shouldn't be sitting there. Rinji frowned. Geez, senpai, you're way too stiff. Girls don't like that, you know. Whether I'm liked or not has nothing to do with you. His tone was cold. He wasn't going to treat her differently just because she was cute. Moa stood up and asked, where's the president? Isn't he usually here? Nope. He wouldn't be holed up here during the whole festival. He's probably out enjoying it too. I see. That's too bad. You said earlier you wanted to see someone. Don't tell me it's the president? Yep. What for? Well. Moa suddenly looked shy, pressing her index fingers together. I've set my sights on the president. You mean you're running for student council president? That's not an easy job. That's not what I meant. Click. At that moment, the door opened, and Fujiwara entered holding a card of Shirogane. She was probably tired from chasing Arsene Lupin around campus and came back for a break. Huh? Renji-kun? Moa? What are you two doing here? Fujiwara. Renji pointed to Moa. Your sister came to tour the school. Didn't you know? She never told me. Well, she just said she's aiming for the president. Oh, I see. Fujiwara nodded like a veteran, giving her sister a knowing look. Being student council president is hard work, you know. You need to be prepared. That's not what I meant. Eh? Hearing her sister, Fujiwara's face froze in horror. You mean? Like the president? Moa's cheeks turned red. I saw him during the middle school festival and couldn't stop thinking about him. Even though keeps saying her brother is bossy, I think she's just showing off. I've totally fallen for him. Fujiwara's face contorted into panic. Moa, you can't harbor such unrealistic fantasies. He's not the man you think he is. Honestly, he's a mess. Renji, I can't just let that slide. What's wrong with the president? Don't interfere, Renji-kun. My sister doesn't understand what he's really like. Clutching her head, Fujiwara exclaimed, his singing skills is like a ritual to summon an eldritch horror, his dancing looks like an exorcism, and teaching him anything is a nightmare. Even though he did overcome it eventually. Moa, then it's fine, isn't it? Renji, everyone has flaws. No one's perfect? Renji-kun, just shut up. You trained him too, right? Don't you remember how terrible he was? Moa curiously looked at Renji. She figured he must know the president well. After all, they came together to the middle school festival. Takuman-senpai, what kind of person is the president? The president? Renji paused and glanced at Fujiwara. She was frantically making gestures at him to spill the dirt. But Renji began calmly. The president is very capable. His academic performance is unmatched, always ranking first. He even helped the red team win several gold medals during the sports festival. Any minor flaws he has, he can overcome quickly. Most importantly, he's kind-hearted and always attentive to student voices. Truly impeccable in every way. Smack. Fujiwara slapped his shoulder and stared at him blankly. Renji-kun, what good is lying through your teeth? No, I'm just stating facts. He replied flatly. It's perfectly normal for your sister to like the president. I knew it. Moa beamed. Hearing it from Takuman-senpai makes me like him even more. I can't take this anymore. Fujiwara dropped to her knees. Then. Takuman-senpai, do you know what kind of girls the president likes? Moa asked hopefully. The president, huh? The answer was obvious. Shinomiya Kaguya. Renji glanced at Moa. Despite being a middle schooler, she had a surprisingly curvy figure, likely a family trait. Meanwhile, Kaguya, who was a year older than him. The president likes flat-chested girls. Eh? Renji, I was just about to look for you. After walking out of the student council office, Renji ran into K in the hallway. She was carrying 2 cans of coffee. Handing one to him, asked, is Mo still in the student council room? Yeah, Fujiwara's there too. She's probably lecturing her little sister. Opening the coffee and taking a sip, Renji looked at K with a smile. Is there anywhere you'd like to visit? I can take you. There was one place that caught my interest when I went to buy drinks. Where? 2nd floor of the senior building. A place called the Witch's House. Renji's heart skipped a beat. I want to go check it out. Can we go somewhere else? Chapter 407, This has nothing to do with me, a real man. Renji-kun. Don't say anything. Unexpected things happen. Inside the dimly lit tent sat Tenbo Yumi, still smiling with narrowed eyes. Renji covered his face with his hand. The only difference this time was that the one sitting next to him wasn't Momo or Hayasaka. It was Shirogane. Well, life is unpredictable. You don't look surprised at all. You look more like you're thinking, I knew this would happen, Renji said, staring at Tenbo. Unlike the last 2 times, I need to warn you about something before we start. Go ahead, Renji-kun. Is the president's younger sister. She's also my sister. Huh, aunt? She's still a kid. If you say anything inappropriate, it won't be solved just by docking your budget. Tenbo had said a lot of inappropriate things in front of Momo and Hayasaka before, which Renji had tolerated. But was a middle schooler and his so-called little sister. If Tenbo dared to say anything questionable this time, Renji might have to take extreme measures. Yikes, how scary. Just a friendly reminder. Well then, Kshan, is there anything you'd like me to divine? I blushed and looked down, gently twirling a strand of her silver hair. When will the person I like start liking me back? Not just as family, but as someone he sees as a romantic partner. Renji. He remembered that towards the end of summer vacation, had confessed to him. He'd turned her down directly. Since then, she hadn't brought it up again, and Renji had thought she'd given up. Stay calm. She hasn't said anything like that for a long time. Maybe she's not talking about me. Yeah, probably not. A sensible girl. And I'm her older brother, after all. Renji slightly lifted his head and immediately met Tenbo's half-smiling gaze. Stop staring. That fake smile expression makes it look like you're certain Kiz talking about me. Seeing Renji's glare, the amusement on Tenbo's face only grew. She turned to K and asked, let me guess, the person you like is blonde, right? Yeah. K blushed and nodded slightly. He's in Shuchin's high school department, right? Yeah. First year? Yes. Kind of androgynous looking, very pretty, right? Yes. Glanced at Renji, then gave a small nod. And Renji, hearing all this, let out a breath of relief. Yeah, this has nothing to do with me, a real man. After hearing the words androgynous and very pretty, Renji, completely lacking self-awareness, excluded himself from the possibilities. Didn't think had someone she liked already. That's nice. Though a middle schooler dating, huh? Kind of like me 4 years ago. Anyway, I should investigate that blonde first-year guy. As her older brother, I need to vet him properly. While Renji was deep in thought, Tenbo observed his expression. She had expected him to react emotionally. Maybe get flustered or embarrassed. Instead, his face showed a subtle "my child is growing up" expression. Honestly, even someone as worldly as Tenbo couldn't quite read that face. So, looked nervously at Tenbo. What's the result? Let me check, please wait a moment. After getting K's birth information, Tenbo began her fortune-telling. Eventually, she came to a conclusion. Not gonna happen anytime soon. I see. Looked a bit disappointed but quickly composed herself. By any time soon, you mean? In the next 2 years, he won't see you as a romantic partner. Tenbo smiled. But once you enter high school and he goes to college, things will be very different. Eh? Your fated day is 2 years from now. I can't say more, but if you grasp the opportunity, you'll definitely succeed. Really? Stood up, eyes shining. Of course. Tenbo still smiled. Thank you, senpai. You're welcome. Exited the tent first, while Renji stayed behind. Thanks for today. Renji said with a smile. Not only did you avoid saying anything weird, but you also pushed her timeline to high school. That really helps. Do you think I was lying to her? Sort of, but a well-meaning lie is fine. Renji smiled, then gave a wry chuckle. Thinking back, I confessed to a girl when I was just a dumb kid. Didn't know anything, got rejected. Makes sense. Love really needs some life experience. Getting involved too early doesn't help anyone. Some people fall for their childhood friends over time. Tenbo replied with a grin. And I didn't lie. I don't make irresponsible predictions. Doesn't really matter. As long as things go well, that's enough. You still don't believe me, huh? Tenbo kept smiling. Remember what I told you during the first term? Of course. You said I'd be lucky in love. I had no luck with girls back then, so I thought you were just trying to comfort me. Renji said. But looking back, I ended up with a girlfriend after the first term. And starting this term, my luck with women really picked up. It's kind of strange, honestly. You just didn't notice it yourself. Tenbo opened her eyes and looked at Renji. Here's another prediction. Believe it or not, it's up to you. What is it? You're going to go through a lot today. And today is also your fated day. Got it. Thanks for the heads up. Renji took it as something to keep in mind but didn't dwell on it. So, about next quarter's budget. I'll increase it for you. Much appreciated. Chapter 408, A Different Shirogane Miyuki. That was seriously scary. Really? I thought it was okay. After leaving Tenbo's tent, Renji took to explore the festival. First stop, the haunted house. When the staff member, I know Maiko, saw Renji standing next to in her middle school uniform, she looked at him like he'd committed a terrible crime. Seeing this, Renji sternly explained that was the president's sister and that he was fulfilling a duty with great responsibility and care by accompanying her to the festival. Knowing her own thoughts were straying, Aino quickly blushed and apologized. Inside the haunted house, K was scared out of her wits and clung to Renji's arm the whole way. Seeing her trying hard not to cry, Renji didn't say anything comforting. He just patted her head. Let's check out other spots or grab something to eat. That might cheer you up. No, today's actually been really fun. K said quietly. I don't get to go out with you very often. Rarely, indeed. This was the first time she'd ever been out alone with Renji. From her perspective, the person who spent the most time with Renji was her brother, Shirogane. Aside from visits to their home, most of Rinji's free time was spent in the student council room. In total, Shirogane spent the most time with Rinji. Even more than Karura. Of course, it couldn't be helped. Rinji and Shirogane went to the same school and worked in the same student council. It was only natural. But if you counted who spent the most one-on-one time with him, it would definitely be Hayasaka. She was with him every weekend as his personal maid. In short, had very few chances to be alone with Rinji. This might be the only one. Rinji. Yeah? Can I go out with you again sometime? Of course. Anytime you ask, I'm in. Rinji said with a smile. What if it conflicts with your date with your girlfriend? Oh, then Karura takes priority. Try to understand me a little. It's not easy for your big brother Rinji to get a girlfriend. Rinji sighed. I've been busy lately and haven't even had time to go out with Karura. Thinking back, we've only had maybe 5 real dates at most. Eh? That few? Blinked. I heard she goes to your house every week. Well, yeah, technically. But every time she came over, Fujui always tagged along. That was the biggest headache for Rinji. Then when Hayasaka started working as his maid, weekends turned into a 4-person gathering. Karura seemed to enjoy the lively atmosphere, so Rinji didn't interfere, but it meant private time with her kept shrinking. Whatever, I'll just spend Christmas at her place. There's plenty of time over winter break to make it up to her. Rinji smiled again. Meanwhile, kept her head down, clearly lost in thought. After a while, she spoke. Rinji, there's a bonfire event tonight at the high school section, right? Yeah. Can. K's voice grew softer. Can we go together? I'd love to, but I have other duties tonight. Rinji said. You know the regulations have tightened. Technically, the school isn't allowed to hold bonfire events. We only got approval after the disciplinary committee and festival committee negotiated with the fire department. One condition is strict safety supervision. And I'm the one assigned to that role. Plus. Rinji lifted his head and glanced toward the student council office. There's something I have to do. I see. Sorry. If there's a bonfire again at next year's festival, I'll go with you. No, there's nothing to apologize for. Shook her head. You have things you need to do. So just focus on that. Thanks. Rinji smiled warmly. But inside, he was getting serious. President. The rest of this festival is in your hands. Don't mess it up. Kaguya had no duties today. After playing poster girl all afternoon yesterday, today was her rest day. In the morning, she'd casually gone to Shirogane's class. Year 2, Class B. Under the guise of bumping into him, and quietly began her plan. Shirogane's job at the time was making balloon animals. Having heard the legend of the Hoshin festival, Kaguya really wanted him to make a heart-shaped balloon for her. That would basically be a confession from him. But things weren't that simple. Normally, balloons cost 100 yen each. Heart-shaped ones were made by twisting 2 balloons together, so logically they'd cost 200 yen. However, because many students were aware of the legend, Class 2B's balloon shop had a special rule: the price of a heart-shaped balloon is 1 heart. In other words, to get a heart-shaped balloon, you had to pay with a heart-shaped object. Not money. This aligned with the legend's spirit: if you want someone to confess to you, you must first confess yourself. It was also a way to protect their classmates from awkward situations. Because of that rule, Kaguya's plan fell apart. So that won't work either. I need another idea. She walked through the hallway, face full of frustration. This is the Hoshin festival, the time when romantic feelings peak. If I don't make my move now, it'll be hard to find another chance later. Shinomiya. Eh? President? Just as she was spiraling, Shirogane appeared behind her. What a coincidence, meeting you here. Kaguya smiled. It's not a coincidence. His expression wasn't the usual flustered one she was used to. Today, he looked unusually serious. I was looking for you. Huh? My work is done, and you're free too. How about we go enjoy the festival together? Kaguya was stunned. Shirogane seemed different today. But that didn't matter. This was the first time he'd invited her out. It was the perfect opportunity. I think that's a great idea. She smiled, stealing glances at him. But won't people think we're on a date if we go out like this? I don't mind. Let's just call it a date. She froze. Shirogane really was different today. Chapter 409, The Girl Who Controls the Weather. Kaguya had never been this happy before. Once, she believed that dating Shirogane was an impossible dream. Because dating only came after a relationship was established. And she, who insisted that he be the one to confess, knew that relationship might never come. No matter what tactics she used, Shirogane never confessed. As time passed, she began to feel anxious. Spurred on by Hayasaka and Rinji, She decided to treat this Hoshin festival as her last chance. If he wouldn't confess, she would. That was her resolve. But just thinking about the possibility of rejection made her retreat. Even on the final day of the festival, she was still clinging to hope, waiting for Shire again to make the first move. If he confesses, it'll work. It has to. And then, as if answering her wish, Shire again invited her out. They walked together under the envious stares of fellow students. They strolled through the Hoshin festival, trying almost every booth and activity like a real date. Kaguya forgot all about her objective. She was simply happy to be by his side. By the time they finished touring the school, it was already 4 p.m. Eventually, they returned to the student council office. Shinomiya. Yes, President. Kaguya smiled as she replied. The day's happiness had washed away all her worries. She didn't even notice the serious look on Shiragane's face. There's something I've wanted to tell you. Eh? She covered her mouth. He wants to tell me something? Don't tell me. A confession? She was overjoyed. So much she almost laughed aloud. Her good manners kept her smiling gracefully. If there's something you want to say, go ahead. I'll listen carefully. She said with a smile. Inside, though, honestly. You made me wait this long just to confess. But I'll forgive you. It's not too late yet. I'm glad you're willing to listen. Shiragane nodded, walked to his desk, opened a drawer, took out his backpack, and pulled out a folded paper. He handed it to her. Kaguya took the paper, puzzled. It was an acceptance letter written in English. Then Shiragane spoke. I took Stanford University's entrance exam on a whim. Didn't think I'd pass, but I did. I'll probably be heading to the US after the first semester of our third year. Shinomiya. He said seriously, this will probably be my last year in the student council. And my last time attending the Hoshin festival. The smile on Kaguya's face finally faded. After a brief silence, she smiled again. But if you looked closely, it was forced. Well, getting into such a prestigious university is something to be proud of. Congratulations, President. I have something to take care of. I'll be going now. Shinomiya. Before Shiragane could finish, she turned around so he wouldn't see her face and walked out of the room. After seeing Koff, Rinji let out a small breath of relief and returned to the school building. It wasn't that being with was exhausting. Just that now, there were things only he could do. According to the president's plan, he needs to bring Shinomiya to the rooftop. At that time, no one should be up there. Even one person. Or even a dog. Could ruin the mood. The best strategy is to block access to the rooftop starting from the bonfire event. Normally, since the school hadn't hosted a bonfire in years, no students would think to go to the rooftop then. But of course, there were exceptions. For example, Fujiwara Chika, and Fujiwara Chika. She was the one unpredictable variable in Shuchin. The only one Rinji truly had to account for. Anyway, first step, inspect the rooftop. For 0 errors, this was a must. Step by step, he climbed the stairs, reached the top, and opened the rooftop door. The rooftop was spacious. From there, he could see the field where students were preparing the bonfire. They were already stacking wood. It'd be done soon. Splash. Hearing a sound at his feet, Rinji looked down and found he had stepped into a large puddle. The water was crystal clear, reflecting fluffy white clouds in a blue sky. It's a sunny day. Where did this water come from? Curious, Rinji crouched down to touch it. The moment his fingers grazed the surface, something strange happened. The puddle suddenly began to churn. And then started to gather. The water coalesced into fish-shaped forms the size of goldfish. Just as Rinji stared in surprise, the little fish formed from the puddle suddenly began to float up toward the sky. It looked just like fish swimming upward from the bottom of the ocean. What the hell is going on? Caught off guard, Rinji widened his eyes and scanned his surroundings cautiously. Then he saw a girl. She had long black hair tied into twin tails hanging over her chest. She wore a sleeveless top and had her fingers interlaced in a prayer-like gesture with her eyes closed. Those fish-shaped droplets were floating around her, rising into the sky. Sunlight shone down on her face as she slowly opened her eyes. The first thing she saw when she opened them was Rinji, standing before her with a wary expression. You saw that? That thing just now. Was that your doing? Rinji frowned, studying her face. Something about her looked familiar. Wait, you're Amano? I remember now. You're that boy who came with to McDonald's that time? So it really was you. No, now's not the time for that. Rinji quickly composed himself. What was that just now? Some kind of magic trick? Or something else? And who exactly are you? What's your purpose in doing this? No need to be so tense. Seeing the unfriendly look in his eyes, The girl named Amano took a couple steps back with a sheepish smile. I didn't mean any harm. It's just that K said she hoped today would be sunny. Are you saying you can control the weather? Chapter 410, the one I was looking for. Well, you've seen it now, so I guess there's no point in hiding it. Yeah, I really can. What's with that look? Well, this is the first time I've seen something so fantastical. Weather manipulation and all. Though, I guess it's not that surprising. Rinji muttered. Still. Miss Amano, you grew up in Japan, right? I mean, you're a native-born Japanese citizen, yeah? What kind of phrasing is that? The girl sighed and held her forehead. Yeah, I grew up in Tokyo. Then, as a kid, you never met any weird people? Like someone who just walked up and taught you how to draw a perfect circle without a compass? No. What the heck are you even talking about? You're being really weird right now. The girl thought Rinji's behavior was strange. Normally, when someone heard she could control the weather, they'd be curious, scared, or assume she was a lunatic or liar. But from Rinji's eyes, she could tell he didn't find it unbelievable. He just seemed surprised that she could do it. When did you get this ability? A little over a year ago, I think. Why are you asking this? Well, since you're K's friend, I'll give you a heads up. Rinji stared straight at her. His gaze gave her goosebumps. What is it? All things in this world operate on equivalent exchange. Your ability. If it comes from technology, then maybe it's fine. But if it's some kind of power you yourself don't understand, then you'd better stop using it. Rinji spoke with conviction. From my own experience, recklessly using a power without understanding its nature usually ends badly. Huh? What do you mean? I mean you shouldn't keep doing whatever it is you just did. Are you using your ability to make money or something? At the mention of money, the girl's eyes lit up. You can make money with this? Of course. If you can actually control the weather, you could make a fortune off agricultural futures. Soybeans and corn, two of the major agricultural products, are heavily influenced by weather conditions. Too much rain during planting or not enough rain during the growing season can reduce yields, causing prices to rise. Conversely, perfect weather leads to abundant harvests and falling prices. In simple terms, weather that increases crop yields is bad for prices, while weather that reduces yields is good for prices. Different crop stages react to rainfall and temperature changes, which in turn affect futures prices. Normally, people rely on weather forecasts, and changes are minimal. Only extreme weather events cause major price swings. Someone who could control the weather would have a huge edge in this market. And that's not even considering the potential military applications. I see. So there's a trick like that. The girl murmured, deep in thought. Don't get any funny ideas about making money like that. I told you already. Don't use that power again. You rich kids at Shuchin wouldn't understand what it's like for us poor people struggling to survive in Tokyo. Why'd you just randomly insult me? Are you seriously that short on cash? Of course. She shrugged. Her smile was more wry than happy. Living in Tokyo is tough. My family situation's kind of messy too. I thought prices at the culture festival might be cheaper, so I came to see if I could get something nice. But I guess it really is a rich kid's school. Even one crepe is crazy expensive. That's because we use high-end ingredients. Most are imported. Though that was only part of the reason. Ordinarily, cultural festivals were guided by rules from schools and education boards that prohibited making a profit, so prices were usually cheaper than outside, just enough to cover costs. But Shuchin used only top-quality ingredients. Some even exclusive suppliers. And Rinji had gone out of his way to argue with local authorities to allow booths to earn a profit. As a result, this year's Hushin festival had sky-high prices, especially for food. Still, since 99% of Shuchin students were wealthy, there was no issue selling everything internally. Anyway, about that futures thing? How do I get started? Just go to any Japanese bank and open an account, submit the paperwork. Wait. What? You mean? I can't do it unless I'm an adult. Obviously. That's true in every country. No way. Looking at her disappointed face, Rinji felt something was off. You just need to be 18. Aren't you a college student? Ah. Right. Totally. Ahahaha. You really are something else. Rinji didn't question the idea that she was a college student. Her demeanor was definitely more mature than the average girl's. What remained suspicious, though, was the supernatural ability she had just shown. Well, I'll be going then. Shame about today. The girl stretched and headed toward the rooftop entrance. Just before entering, she turned and smiled at Rinji. Hey, could you keep what you saw today a secret? I really don't want anyone finding out. It'd cause a lot of trouble. Of course. If this ability were exposed, people from all sorts of factions would come after her. Her peaceful life would be over. Thanks. Well, gurgle. Just then, her stomach growled loudly. Blushing, she froze. Ms. Amano. You misheard. You're hungry, aren't you? Seeing her lower her head in embarrassment, Rinji let out a small sigh. Come on. I'll take you to the school cafeteria. York's friend. I can't let you go hungry. Eh? But. Don't worry about money. This meal's on me. Rinji stepped forward and gently pushed her along. The girl asked hesitantly, blushing, I still don't know your name. Only mentioned your last name. Takuman Rinji. He introduced himself. What about you, Ms. Amano? I'm Hina. Amano Hina. The moment he heard her name, Rinji's pupils shrank. He froze on the spot. Chapter 411, I finally found you, Hina. Your name is Amano Hina. Yeah, that's right. Why? Hina turned to look at Rinji, who stood motionless behind her. She noticed his eyes looked strange. Filled with memories, joy, and a faint trace of pain. Are you okay? Worried, Hina stepped closer and peered at his face. You've been acting weird ever since just now. Is there something wrong with my name? No, that's not it. Rinji shook his head, then asked hurriedly, do you have a younger brother named Amano Nagi? Eh? How do you know that? So it really is you. Thank God. Rinji smiled bitterly in relief, as though a heavy weight had finally been lifted. He leaned against the wall of the corridor, feeling drained. That's great. Huh? Hina tilted her head, puzzled by Rinji, whose expression had been hard to read from the start. So, what exactly happened? I'll explain it all to you later. You must be hungry right now. Come on, I'll take you out to eat. Eh? Okay. Though she didn't understand why Rinji's gaze had suddenly become so gentle, Hina followed him. She had a feeling he knew something about her. Something important she didn't know herself. Takuman-kun. Don't be so formal. Just call me Rinji. He said with a smile. Order anything you like. This. Hina held the menu in trembling hands. A drink costs 5,000 yen? Are you kidding me? Where the heck is this place? The luxurious decor around them made the restaurant look like something out of a palace. And the two of them were seated in a private room in this high-end restaurant. Rinji had taken Hina straight out of school and brought her by car to an expensive restaurant in the Port District. One drink costs the equivalent of 5 hours of my hard labor. As expected of a rich kid from such an academy. Damn rich people. Hina took several deep breaths to compose herself, sneaking glances at Rinji, who had been smiling consistently from the moment they sat down. Takuman. Rinji, why did you suddenly bring me here? Just to eat. Rinji replied with a smile. No, why here specifically? Wouldn't anywhere do? That would make me look cheap. Is this rich boy seriously pretending to be humble? Hina narrowed her eyes at the smiling Rinji. Why is he suddenly being so nice to me? I'm just a poor girl, not like I'm anything special. Wait. I've heard that these rich heirs like to mess around with common girls. Could it be? She looked at Rinji with a hint of fear in her eyes. But she quickly calmed herself. But even if that's the case, it might not be so bad. If I had money, things at home would improve. Ever since I got fired, life's been getting harder and harder. Forget Nagi's tuition. We can't even cover utility bills now. But if he's just playing with me. Hina wavered. She was teetering between financial survival and her pride. Hina, have you decided what to get? I'll leave it to you, Rinji. She gave a nervous laugh and handed him the menu. Rinji accepted the menu, called the waiter, and casually ordered a few dishes. The total bill exceeded 200,000 yen, and Hina felt dizzy just hearing it. After ordering, Rinji turned to Hina, his expression serious. Hina, there's something I need to tell you. Here it comes. Hina closed her eyes, bracing herself for what was coming. Fine. I'll accept it. This is all for Nagi. Better than ending up in a brothel. Actually. Rinji looked at her seriously. By seniority, you should be calling me uncle. Huh? Hina was completely thrown off by this turn of events. I know it's hard to accept right away. A high schooler just a year older than you being considered a generation above. Wait, hold on. Hina quickly interjected. Didn't I already say? I'm a college student. That's a lie. Your real age is 15. You're just 1 year older than. And your brother, Amano Nagi, is 11 and currently in 4th grade. How do you know that? Did you investigate me? Her eyes were now filled with wariness. Don't be nervous. Someone told me. Who? Your father. Hina calmed down, but her expression turned cold. I don't have a father. But. He abandoned us a long time ago. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't have one. That's not true. Renji stood up, visibly agitated. Uncle Amano always cared about you too. He even wanted to get back together with your mom. He was always thinking about home. Then why didn't he ever come find us? Hina also stood up, eyes brimming with tears. He wasn't there when Mom was seriously ill. He wasn't there when we could barely afford to live. He didn't even show up for her funeral. Tell me. Why? She passed away? Yes. When? Last year. So I was too late again? Pain was clearly written across Renji's face. Seeing his expression, Hina swallowed her anger. Sorry. I shouldn't have yelled. It's not your fault. Renji whispered. But don't blame your father either. He died 4 years ago. Huh? Hina's eyes widened at the revelation. I should never have left Japan back then. Just because of a failed relationship, I ran away and left you all behind. Your lives were so hard. She died. If only I had stayed. I'm such a piece of trash. Renji, don't. Seeing his bloodshot eyes and twisted expression, Hina felt a strange pain in her chest. Sorry, I lost control a bit. Noticing her concern, Renji pulled himself together. Let's talk seriously. Your father and I were friends despite the age gap. When he passed, his company went bankrupt. But I've recently restarted it. Okay. So? Technically, you and your brother Amano Nagi each now own 35% of the company's shares. Chapter 412, this was always meant to be yours here, take a look. These are my son and daughter. Cute, right? Amano leaned over and showed a photo to young Renji. He looked at the picture silently. Uncle Amano, I remember your daughter should be 11 now, right? Yep. But in this photo. The photo showed the girl around 4 years old and a baby. Ahaha, I don't have any recent pictures. This was taken before my wife and I divorced. Amano said, scratching his head with a laugh. But the bitterness in his smile was obvious. Uncle Amano, if you miss them that much, why not go see them? Sigh. He shook his head. I'm too ashamed. I left them when they were still little. They probably hate me now. Of course they do. Who wouldn't? Can't you comfort me a little? Amano laughed bitterly. What's the point? The truth doesn't change. Renji said with a smile. Stop running. Go face them. You're right. Amano tucked the photo into his chest pocket. I only got divorced because I was fired and started arguing constantly with my wife. That led to all this. After I finish this business deal, I'll go apologize to them properly. That's the spirit. Renji smiled. By the way, didn't you get dumped recently? My daughter is about your age. What do you think? What do you mean, what do I think? I'm still dealing with heartbreak. How can I just jump into another relationship? Didn't you just tell me not to run away? Shut up. I just haven't sorted my feelings out yet. Young Renji said, face flushed. In the end, I still ran away. Smack. As Renji muttered to himself, 2 small hands gently slapped his cheeks, snapping him out of it. Stop blaming yourself. You're still just a student. Why do you have to carry all the responsibility? Hina muttered. That look on your face. It's like a kitten curled up in the trash on a rainy day. It's painful to see. Sorry. I told you, no need to apologize. She sat back in her chair, sipping the juice that had just been served. I was just venting about how he wasn't there when we needed a father. I never blamed anyone for Mom's passing. Maybe it was all fate. You have quite the calm mindset. Renji said with a wry smile. By the way, what was that thing you mentioned earlier? Hina asked. Something about Nagi and me inheriting company shares? Oh right, where did I leave off? I remember now. Renji continued. I returned to Japan in the first half of this year. It took me a few months to raise funds and revive Amano Pharmaceuticals, which had gone bankrupt. My friend's father and I each own 15% of the shares. You and your younger brother, Amano Nagi, together hold the remaining 70%. Split evenly, that means each of you owns 35%. I don't really understand what shares represent. It's your legal right within the company. Renji explained. Right now the company hasn't gone public and isn't generating profit, so the shares aren't worth much. But once operations stabilize, even a conservative estimate of your dividends would be in the hundreds of millions. Hundreds of millions? Yeah. In yen? Yes. Don't faint just yet. It'll take a while before those dividends come in. Renji said as Amano Hina leaned back, overwhelmed. It's just. Someone suddenly tells me that I, who was just worrying about next month's utility bills, am now receiving a windfall inheritance. Anyone would find that hard to process. Hina stammered. This kind of thing only happens in manga. But it's true. Rinji replied. Even though you're not getting money immediately, if you need anything, I'll provide living expenses for you and your brother. Eh? That's... Don't be shy. Given my relationship with your father, I can't just stand by and watch you two struggle. Rinji said. Like I said, your father and I were close friends despite the age difference. It's perfectly fine for you to call me uncle. Let's not do the whole uncle thing, okay? After finishing their outrageously expensive meal, the two of them walked out of the restaurant side by side. Hina, take this card for now. Rinji pulled out his wallet and handed her a black credit card. Use this for your daily living expenses. I'll also withdraw some cash for you in a bit. Wait, this is too sudden. Think of it as a way to ease my guilt. Rinji said. Even if you say none of this is my fault, there are still things I have to face. You've really got to stop making that face. After a moment's hesitation, Hina accepted the black card Rinji offered. Can you tell me where you live? Sundagaya, in Shibuya. The address is. Mind giving me your phone number? Or line is fine too. Sure. Hina took out her phone, and Rinji scanned her line QR code. They were now friends. If anything comes up, don't hesitate to contact me. Really? No need to hold back. Okay. Even now, Hina still felt like none of this was real. A male high school student, only a year older than her, suddenly showed up and told her she was about to receive a massive inheritance. For someone who'd been scraping by at the bottom of Tokyo's society for years, she had long given up on such dreams. Until one of them became real. Oh, and one more thing. Rinji said. He pointed at Hina, then toward the sky. That ability of yours. I don't know the mechanics, but don't use it for now. Wait until I figure out how it works and confirm it's safe. For now, just hold back a little. Okay, I understand. Hina gave Rinji a slight bow. Thank you. Truly. I'm really grateful for everything you've done. This isn't me helping you. All of this was always meant to be yours. Chapter 413, The Sunshine Girl. Today was a special day. Ishigami was trying to win over Tsubame, and Shirogane was about to reach the finish line of his emotional journey with Kaguya. Both Shirogane and Ishigami were friends of Rinji, so normally he would be keeping close tabs on what they were doing. But right now, Rinji had no time for that. As soon as he returned to school, he sprinted into the classroom building. Thanks for stopping by. Come again soon. We're never coming back. A red-faced couple stumbled out of Timbo's tent, clearly having been mercilessly teased inside. Humphrey, as expected, this festival is a blast. Seeing these innocent couples always makes me want to toy with them a bit. Just as she finished speaking, the tent flap was thrown open. Rinji stepped inside and sat down directly across from Timbo. Timbo-senpai. No, senpai-sama. What's the rush, Rinji? Did a girl who likes you come after you with a knife? She teased. This isn't a joke. I'm seriously facing a problem. Rinji sighed and lowered his head. Sorry, senpai. I was rude to you before. What's going on? Did something happen? Seeing Rinji's rare attitude, Timbo realized it might be serious. Is there something I can help with? Actually, I've run into a paranormal case. Rinji said. You were spot on, senpai. What happened? A girl who can control the weather. Eh? Your grandfather is a level 1 exorcist with a Jinja Honcho, right? He should know about things like this. Jinja Honcho was one of the main organizations of Shinto in Japan. Originally, it was a Jinnin under the Ministry of Home Affairs before World War II, the highest authority of state Shinto at the time. After the war, with the separation of religion and state, it became a private organization known as Jinja Honcho and even formed its own political wing. Rankings among Shinto priests, called Kii, were required for serving in shrine positions. From highest to lowest, these were Jokei, purity rank, Mkei, brightness rank, Cik, correct rank, Gonsake, provisional correct rank, and Chake, direct rank. Priest titles include chief priest, acting chief priest, provisional chief priest, priest, provisional priest, shrine steward, ritualist, and so on. From a religious standpoint, Timbo Yumi's grandfather stood among the highest in Japan. A girl who can control the weather. Timbo thought for a moment. Did you actually see her use that power? Of course. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it either. Rinji took out his phone and placed it on the table. This is satellite imagery I requested from the research department, showing recent strange weather patterns over Japan. Especially Tokyo. You can skip the random anomalies and focus on Shibuya. He pointed at several photos for Timbo to examine. December 13th, from 4:30 to 4:35 p.m., Tokyo experienced heavy rain. But above the Yoyogi building in Shibuya, A circular cloud break appeared. Diameter 0.22 kilometers. As if someone scooped a hole through the clouds. On December 17, 11:00 a.m. to 12:05 p.m., Harajuku experienced a similar 0.34 kilometers circular hole. As Rinji spoke, Tumbo studied the images. And today, December 21st, it's been pouring rain since morning in Tokyo, but a massive 0.7 kilometers hole appeared above the Minato district. And the center is right over Shuchen. This is definitely serious. Tumbo looked up, her expression grave. Rinji. You may have encountered a Haronna. A Haronna? Just like I guessed, your problem is tied to divine beings. This time, you've likely encountered a weather dragon class deity. A Haronna. You're really knowledgeable, senpai. Dragon god type wasn't a Shinto term. It was a classification born from syncretic spiritualism. Essentially a Western-inspired Japanese folk belief system. It grouped nature spirits into categories like dragon god, Inari, Tengu, and Benzaiten. To put it simply, it was a patchwork faith. I'll explain in terms you'll understand. Tumbo Yumi said. You're Chinese, right? You've heard of the Sunshine Maiden? I've heard of her. During the Qing dynasty, Jia Yi wrote about the Sunshine Maiden in Geikinkao, in Wu region customs. After long rains, women would cut paper into the shape of a girl holding a broom and hang it under the eaves to pray for clear skies. It's called the Sunshine Maiden. From May to June, in places like China's lower Yangtze River, southern Korea, and southern central Japan, seasonal monsoons bring continuous rain. To pray for sun, people would cut paper effigies known as the Sunshine Maiden. According to legend, during a flood, a girl desperately begged the heavens to stop the rain. It finally cleared up. But the girl vanished. Believing she had sacrificed herself, the villagers made the paper figure in her honor. Haronna is a borrowed cultural term, basically Japan's version of China's Sunshine Maiden. Tumbo sighed and laid her head on the table. Which means, the girl you encountered probably shares the same fate. By fate, you mean she'll disappear. We call it kamikakushi. Spirit vanishing. What? Rinji stood up, eyes wide. She's going to disappear? Most likely. Because Haronna are tied to divine contracts with the heavens. Is there any way to stop it? There's no way. If you try, it'll bring trouble. Tumbo narrowed her eyes at Rinji. You think you can go up against nature? Or challenge the gods themselves? Chapter 414, Don't spread your father's embarrassing story. Since you're involved with the Haronna, you're bound to encounter these things. Tumbo said. You could say she's the agent of the gods among humans, and also their sacrifice. Her disappearance follows the natural order. Just like how gaining power always comes at a price. What if I don't want her to disappear? Then you become an enemy of the gods. Tumbo's expression turned serious. Rinji-kun, maybe you're strong enough that no one can match you, but I don't believe you can defeat a god. That's a being from another dimension. Besides what? Besides, if you anger a higher dimensional entity, not only you, but possibly an entire region could suffer. Mythology has plenty of examples. Like how the Dragon King flooded Chentang Pass when Niza defied him. How big is the area that would be affected? Probably all of Japan. How many people live in Japan? Conservatively, about 130 million. Tumbo said. It's ranked 11th in world population. 130 million. That's no small number. Rinji smiled. But compared to the 7 billion people in the world, that number doesn't seem like it would have much impact. What did you say? Rinji's calm tone made Tumbo break into a cold sweat. From the sound of it, Rinji might sacrifice an entire nation just to protect one person. Senpai, back then I ran away. Because I did, Uncle Amano died. Not just him, even his wife passed away from illness a year ago. Rinji said quietly. I avoided my guilt. I avoided my feelings. I was like an ostrich with my head in the sand, thinking that if I couldn't see it, I wouldn't feel pain. But I was wrong. When I finally pulled my head out, I hadn't avoided anything. Instead, I caused irreversible damage. Rinji raised his head, his crimson eyes locking onto Tumbo. I won't run away anymore. Hina is my only hope. Even if I have to sacrifice countless others, I will protect her. Rinji-kun, you. That's what I was going to say. Rinji suddenly smiled. If it were the me from back then, I really would have done that. But now, there are people I care about here in Japan too. So, I'll come up with a more balanced approach. To minimize the damage. So you won't give up on saving that girl? Yeah, I can't give her up. I see. It seems you've steeled your resolve. Tumbo smiled lightly. Although I can't do much in this matter, I'll go home and look up some references. Thanks, senpai. Rinji stood up and thanked her, then turned to leave the tent. Rinji-kun. What is it? You remember our little bet, right? She smiled at him. I calculated everything this time. Yeah, you're right. With a helpless nod, Rinji pulled out his phone. After dialing a string of numbers, the call went through. Beep. Hello? Kid, this is the first time you've contacted your old man since coming to Japan. Out of pocket money already? The annoying voice that always got on Rinji's nerves came from the other end. But since he had to fulfill the bet with Tumbo, and also thank her, Rinji had no choice but to talk to his father. Old man, you're in Japan, right? Yep. Watching a fake writer stage play. Knew it. No way you came to Japan for something serious. I'm already retired. Goofing off is my main business now. His dad replied in a tone begging to be punched. So, what's up? Or did you just want to chat? I'm always happy to talk. About your school life, your friends, your girlfriend, or maybe how you felt dressing up as a girl. Oh right, your mom already showed me those sports day photos. Ha 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 ha. Where are you? I'm coming over to beat the crap out of you. No need to be so hot-tempered. I was very well behaved at your age. Bullshit. How long did it take you to settle down after I was born? The veins on Rinji's neck bulged. I need you to come over. Oh ho? Missing your loving father and want me to visit? You don't have to come. If you don't show up. Rinji's eyes narrowed. Some of your embarrassing past might end up reaching your old subordinate's ears. Silence. After a moment, his father spoke. What embarrassing stuff do I have? Say it. What I got from Grandma. What? I thought I deleted all of that. His voice finally broke from its calm. So are you coming or not? Ah, my dear son, since you personally invited me, how could I say no? No need to threaten me like that. As long as you agree. Rinji turned back to Tumbo and said, I have a senpai who wants to meet you. Oh. If anything happens between you two that I'm too young to know about, as your son I can pretend it didn't happen. But mom might not be so understanding. What do you mean? Nothing. Knowing your emotional intelligence is lower than mine puts me at ease. He hung up and gave Tumbo an okay gesture. All set. Thanks, Rinji-kun. Chapter 415, Don't run away Rinji, are you still in Tokyo? Yeah. Aunt Kana should have updated you on my itinerary, right? She did. But, you know, lately Tokyo and surrounding areas like Chiba, Fukushima, Nagano, and Shizuoka have all been hit by heavy rain. It was getting late in the evening when Segreshuk called Rinji. Yeah. The rainfall lately really isn't normal. Because of the rain, a lot of places have started flooding. Some import-export ports have even been shut down. Juk spoke from the other end. This counts as a disaster. You know that, right? A natural one. Ever heard of the famine in England back in 1315? Yeah, a bit. In the summer of 1315, torrential rain began falling across England. At first, people thought it would pass quickly. After all, England and much of Europe were enjoying a period of booming prosperity. But things didn't go as hoped. The rain was relentless. Flooding started, especially in Ireland, where the rainfall exceeded England's. Crops were submerged. Fish dwindled in rivers. Calm streams turned violet, and many died. The rain, the cold, and low atmospheric pressure soon affected agriculture and harvests. In the end, it led to famine. Japan's weather right now is unnaturally strange. I've ordered you to temporarily evacuate departments and personnel from Japan. Juk said gravely. I think you and Kaname should also leave soon. Or at least move to a safer city. It's gotten that bad. Not yet. But from satellite imagery, it's going to get worse. You got a plan? No matter how powerful you is, we can't control nature. If we could, I wouldn't be relocating our assets. All we can do for now is minimize the losses. After a pause, Juk added, if your father were here, maybe he could figure something out. But. Huh? Didn't he tell you? What? He's in Japan right now. Juk went silent for a few seconds. I see. Got it. I'll tell the others to hold position in Japan for now. You seriously trust that idiot to fix this? He is capable of anything. If he came to Japan, he must have noticed the situation too. Don't worry, Rinji. Just live your life. Alright. Got it. After a brief chat, Rinji hung up. He gazed out the hallway window at the setting sun. The sky was still cloudless, but he couldn't shake a strange feeling. Rinji-kun, are you really going on patrol alone? Yeah, I've got this. Rinji smiled. I know, enjoy the bonfire festival. Alright. But are you sure? This is the first bonfire festival in years. You might not get another chance before graduation. It's fine. I've never been into lively events anyway. Okay. But come find me if anything happens. Got it. The sky had turned completely black. Lights lit up all around Shuchin Academy. In the courtyard, a person-height stack of firewood had been prepared. Most students had come out of the building and gathered around. A bonfire festival. I've been waiting for this. Shinomiya-san's the one lighting the fire this time. With a flaming arrow, apparently. She's so cool. Listening to their chatter, Rinji glanced at the rooftop, then quietly slipped away into the building. On the second floor, Hayasaka, still in maid attire, was discussing something with Kaguya. That's roughly the plan. Whether it succeeds depends on your performance, Kaguya-sama. Seeing the scene, Rinji stepped forward and greeted them. Yo, still scheming? Renji-kun? Kaguya turned around in surprise to find Rinji waving at her while walking over. Hayasaka chimed in. It seems Kaguya-sama became a bit anxious after hearing that President Shirogane is planning to study abroad. At this point, what's the use of getting anxious? Just say it clearly already. Rinji-kun. Kaguya Shinomiya looked up at Rinji with a slightly aggrieved expression. You knew about the president going abroad earlier than me? Yeah, probably at least a month earlier than you. I got the news he was planning to study in the US. Then why did you only tell me now? Telling you earlier wouldn't have helped. Said Rinji. What would you have done with the information? It's better to push you to the edge so you can see your own heart clearly. You. Do you really not want to express your feelings? Rinji's voice suddenly turned heavy. Do you really want to keep indulging in this daily routine and let your feelings stagnate? Don't be naive. If you don't act, you'll get nothing. At worst, you'll get a result you didn't want. But if you run away now, the only thing waiting for you is tragedy. Rinji-kun. Rinji. Both Kaguya and Hayasaka could tell that something about Rinji was unusually emotional tonight. If you run away, you'll end up with nothing. Rinji roared. All you're thinking about is what if I fail? Then what? You think if you run away now you'll somehow succeed? Kaguya lowered her head, hurt. Rinji sighed. Seriously, why am I even lecturing a Shinomiya about this? Whatever happens next is up to you. I've got patrol duty. Goodbye. He turned and left without another glance. Wait, I'll go with you. Hayasaka quickly followed, keeping her promise to patrol with him. Kaguya was left standing in the corridor alone, lost in thought. Chapter 416, Intentions. Are you sure it's okay to leave Shinomiya alone like that? Don't worry about Kaguya-sama, said Hayasaka. I believe she'll make up her mind. And honestly, it's time she stood on her own. If I keep hovering around, it'll only make her more dependent on me. I see. Night had fallen. Hayasaka and Rinji were walking along the slope near Shuchin Academy. Since she hadn't had time to change, Hayasaka was still in the maid outfit from the cafe. Rinji, you seemed really fired up earlier. It's been a while since I lost it like that. He looked up at the night sky. The moon was hanging brightly overhead. It's just. Today made me realize that my past cowardice led to consequences I couldn't take back. So what I said just now. Maybe I was scolding Shinomiya, but in truth, I was really berating my own useless self. Hayasaka couldn't think of a reply. Though she had no evidence, something told her that what Rinji mentioned had to do with her, too. Forget it, let's not talk about that anymore. Rinji turned his gaze toward the school rooftop. It should be about time. According to the president's plan, Shinomiya should be arriving on the rooftop now. This is their final battle. I just wanted to help set the mood for them. Saying that, Rinji pulled out a remote control. President is leaving to study abroad. This is really my last chance. Kaguya stood in front of the bonfire logs, facing the entire school. Dressed in archery attire, she held a lit arrow and took a deep breath. Many students admired her for her focus and composure, not realizing her mind was full of chaos. And what was with Renji-kun losing his temper like that? Escape? Me? She not only did it. She'd been running for an entire year. Despite the inner turmoil, she raised a bow, knocked the arrow, drew it, and aimed at the logs. Where's the president right now? It's my big moment and he's not even here. Is he watching from somewhere, waiting to see my flustered reaction? So mean. She loosed the arrow. The flaming arrow flew and landed on the logs. With cheers from the crowd, the bonfire lit up, officially kicking off the festival. Kaguya sighed softly. She hadn't seen Shirogane all day, not even once. Ah! Look over there. The bonfire's light illuminated the area, and someone pointed up in surprise. Everyone turned their gaze upward. To the rooftop. Originally, Shirogane had placed his handcrafted art piece on the roof, a dragon coiled around a giant pearl. But now, the pearl was gone. Who's behind this prank? Then. Whoosh! Hundreds of cards fluttered down from the sky. Kaguya picked up one. It was made from special material, clearly prepared for the occasion. On the front was a single sentence: I, Arsène Lupin, have taken the heart offering. Arsène Lupin? Isn't that the one responsible for stealing all the heart-shaped balloons today? Who is this guy? Trying to ruin the last Hoshin festival between me and the president. Kaguya frowned, then suddenly her eyes lit up. The balloons disappearing, Fujiwara chasing the culprit. And this paper's texture, the rooftop. Suddenly, it all clicked. Without waiting another second, she dashed for the school building. She quickly changed out of her archery uniform and into her usual school clothes and ran straight for the rooftop. Clack. Pushing open the door, Kaguya stepped into the starlit rooftop. Standing there was Shirogane, wearing a top hat and cloak, waiting in the cold night breeze. President. You made it, Shinomiya. Seeing her arrive, Shirogane breathed a sigh of relief. Then blushed from embarrassment. His outfit really was ridiculous. But he soon regained composure. Looking at the bonfire below, he smiled. Nice view, right? You can see the whole festival from here. This is my last time attending the Hoshin festival. At least let me enjoy it to the fullest. Kaguya said nothing, clenching her skirt tightly. Why are you here, President? Did you know I'd come? Or is this a test? Why mention studying abroad now of all times? If I confess, how will he respond? Since you're the first one to catch the fandom thief, you should get a reward. He said. What do you want? Of course I want the president to confess to me. She stared at him with teary eyes. Her greatest fear was being rejected. And that was something she couldn't endure. If I confess, you might reject me. But if you confess, I'll definitely say yes. Shinomiya? Seeing the tears in her eyes, Shirogane panicked. He quickly pulled out his phone. Don't misunderstand. I'm not playing with your feelings. I brought you here because I wanted to show you something. He pressed a button. Suddenly, machinery around the school activated. All the students at the bonfire looked up. And gasped. Countless heart-shaped balloons floated up into the sky above the school. Staring at the scene, Kaguya stood frozen. Shinomiya. This is how I feel. Far away, Rinji and Hayasaka also saw the balloons. Hayasaka was still confused, but Rinji let out a laugh. He picked up his phone and dialed a number. It's time. Light it up. Bayou. Boom. A giant heart-shaped firework burst into the night sky over Shuchin Academy. Chapter 417, Kiss X2. Ishigami had always been a rather solitary person. Aside from the student council members, he had very few friends. After the sports festival, his social circle expanded slightly to include those from the cheer squad, but even then, it was just enough to hold a conversation. Even so, he still decided to attend the bonfire party this time. Today, following Rinji's suggestion, he invited Tsubame Koyasu. He hadn't expected that the same Tsubame who had been avoiding him just yesterday would accept his invitation. In the afternoon, because Tsubame's rhythmic gymnastics club had a performance, he went to watch it. Their performance was a stage play that told the origin of Shuchin's Hoshin festival. It was then that Ishigami understood. Giving someone a heart-shaped item during the Hoshin festival was equivalent to a confession. In other words, he had unknowingly pulled off a bold move. Confessing in public to one of the most popular girls in the school. Though shocked, he also felt a bit shy, but he didn't take it too seriously. After all, he didn't think anyone would be silly enough to treat giving a heart-shaped item as an actual confession. Well, he was wrong. Tsubame just happened to be someone who would treat that kind of act seriously. In fact, most people at this school would. Near noon, Tsubame told Ishigami she would take some time to get to know him better before giving an answer. Though her face was red as she said it, Ishigami didn't think too deeply about it. In that sense, he was quite similar to Rinji. Feeling pretty good, he arrived at the bonfire party. But the moment he saw couples pairing up everywhere, his mood turned sour again. TCH, I really wish you guys feeding me all this PDA would just fall into the bonfire. It's a rare bonfire party. Cursing others like that isn't nice, you know. Hearing the voice, Ishigami quickly turned around, but there was no one there. Looking down, he realized it was Aino looking up at him. It's you. Shouldn't you be patrolling with Rinji right now? Rinji-kun said he could do it on his own and told me to enjoy the bonfire party. Yeah. That does sound like something he'd do. Ishigami said with a smile. Right. I really need to thank him properly when he gets back. Aino whispered. They then watched Kaguya appear and light the bonfire with a bow and arrow. After that came the sudden disappearance of Tomoko from the rooftop, followed by the sky raining down with cards. Who the heck is this Arsène Lupin and what kind of prank is this? The chaos this prank caused lit a fire in Aino's justice-driven heart. She turned and left, determined to catch the culprit. Wait. Just as Aino took a step, Ishigami grabbed her shoulder. What are you doing? If you go handle this, Rinji's efforts will be wasted. Ishigami said. Just enjoy the bonfire party. That was his intention. But then, heart-shaped balloons rose around the school building. Both Ino and Ishigami were captivated by the dreamlike scene. So beautiful. Shinomiya, this is how I feel. Heart-shaped balloons floated up and surrounded Kaguya and Shirogane. Holding one of the balloons that had drifted into his hands, Shirogane blushed and said those words to Kaguya. Seeing his embarrassed face and the floating balloons around her, memories of everything they'd been through. Student council work, their romantic mind games. Flooded Kaguya's mind. At last, there was resolution. A smile appeared on her face. A truly happy one. She accepted the balloon from Shirogane and gently cradled it in her arms. Shirogane had prepared all of this long ago. With the help of Momo and Rinji, he managed to collect all the heart-shaped balloons from the school in a single night. And thanks to the bonfire party's heat creating an updraft, releasing the balloons now gave them a brief moment to rise perfectly into view on the rooftop. At the same time, seeing the balloons rise, Rinji knew Shirogane's plan had succeeded and began the final step. Boom! A burst of dazzling fireworks lit up the night sky, forming a heart shape. The fireworks above and balloons all around created a moment of pure fantasy. What I want to do can't be expressed in words. It has to be shown in action. Shirogane took a deep breath and said, I know this is sudden, but this is the most important request of my life. Shinomiya, will you apply to Stanford with me? I want to go to America with you. I want to be with you forever. Kaguya, immersed in a fantasy Shirogane had created, stared at him in a daze, face red, and softly said one word. Okay. Yes, Shirogane almost jumped with excitement, but managed to hold it in. Still blushing, Kaguya slowly approached him and said, President. Earlier, you said there would be a reward if I caught you, right? Yeah. You said it yourself. Kaguya stepped up to him, cupped his cheeks, and kissed him. President, this is how I feel. Looks like it went well. Rinji smiled as he looked up at the fireworks in the sky. Even without seeing the full scene, he could guess how it ended. Rinji, that just now. After hearing the president's plan, I reached out to some local groups in the harbor district and got permission to launch fireworks above Shuchen. Rinji explained with a grin. According to the plan, if Shinomiya showed up on the rooftop, the president would release the balloons. Seeing them would signal me to launch the fireworks. After speaking, Rinji leaned against a wall, took a cigarette from his pocket, and placed it in his mouth. This really turned out well. Neither the president nor Shinomiya chose to run away in the end. Yeah. Hayasaka lowered her head and muttered. We must never run away. Just as Rinji was about to light his cigarette, he saw Hayasaka slowly walk up to him. She snatched the cigarette from his mouth and tossed it aside. The light from the fireworks illuminated her face, allowing Rinji to see the smile on her lips. If you run away, you'll never get anything done. With that, Hayasaka grabbed Rinji's collar, stood on her toes, and kissed him. Beneath the fireworks, two pairs of young hearts came together in a kiss. Chapter 418, Conversation with the Heart MMPH. Under the fireworks, as Hayasaka kissed him, Rinji's eyes widened. This wasn't her first time kissing him. It was the second. The last time, Rinji didn't respond. He later made it clear when they met again that he already had a girlfriend and wouldn't accept feelings from anyone else. But for some reason, Hayasaka felt different today. She hadn't mentioned anything about this in their usual interactions. After a long moment, Hayasaka released his collar and their lips parted. When I found out you had a girlfriend, I knew I should give up. It was the consequence of a mistake I made 4 years ago, and I deserved it. She took a step back and placed a hand on her chest. There was no confusion in her eyes. But running away only leads you further from your own heart, so I have to change. She looked straight into Rinji's eyes and said clearly, this will be the last time. I like you, Rinji. No matter how you respond, this is the last time. Today, Hayasaka had decided to lay everything bare and confess her feelings to Rinji. If he still rejected her, then she would let go completely. No matter what the outcome, she refused to run. Even if it ended terribly, she had to face it head-on. Hayasaka. Rinji's expression went blank. He staggered toward her, as if drunk. This isn't right. Rinji? He couldn't get a full sentence out. Emotions surged within him. Today had been too overwhelming. The joy of finding Hina again, the pain and guilt of learning what happened after he left Japan, the anger at himself for running away. And now, Hayasaka's confession. Rinji might have seemed composed on the surface, but with so many emotions flooding in within a single day, this confession was the final straw. Rinji, what's wrong? Hayasaka, Thud. Just as he reached her, Rinji's legs gave out. He collapsed to the ground, everything going black. Hayasaka stood frozen in shock, then rushed to support him. Rinji. She'd imagined many outcomes, but she never expected him to lose consciousness. Still running away? What? In the darkness, Rinji stood alone. In front of him stood a boy who looked exactly like him. Just a bit younger, maybe around 12 years old. You've always been running away, haven't you? That's never changed. The young boy. Rather, the younger Takeman Rinji. Pointed at the 16-year-old Rinji standing before him and said calmly, I admit that the old me was running away, but I'm not the same as I was back then. Rinji frowned, retorting at his younger self. I'm not who I used to be. That's just an excuse you made up for yourself. The young Rinji replied indifferently. Then tell me, how exactly am I running away? You're running from your own heart. How laughable. When have I ever done that? Rinji scoffed. Then how do you respond to Hayasaka's confession? What do you mean how? Of course I'll reject her. Rinji spread his hands. I already have a girlfriend. Why would I accept someone else's confession? Isn't that also a form of running away? Shut up. Rinji suddenly snapped, furious at the younger version's words. But the younger Rinji continued, unfazed. Even after returning to Japan after 4 years, you haven't grown at all. You still can't face what's in your heart. Choosing Karura as your girlfriend was already a form of escapism. Shut up. After being rejected once, you never confessed again. You're afraid of failing. As long as someone else confesses to you, it doesn't matter who they are. Because you're more of a coward in love than the president. I said shut up. Rinji roared. I won't shut up. The younger Rinji said. Because I am you. Then what do you want me to do? Accept Hayasaka's confession? Accept someone else's love even though I already have a girlfriend? Rinji shouted. If I do that. If you do that, even Karura will leave you. Isn't that what you're thinking? The younger version replied coolly. Since Uncle Amano passed away, you haven't changed at all. Watching your comrades die made you fear loss. So even if you act fearless in every other situation, when it comes to love, you're paralyzed. That's who we are. Hayasaka didn't run away in the end. But we've never had the courage to face our failure from 4 years ago. Are we really going to make the same mistake again? Ask yourself honestly. How do you really feel about Hayasaka? Only then should you make a decision. After saying that, the younger Rinji smiled. Then he slowly disappeared into the surrounding darkness. Don't let those useless restraints find you. We are Takeman Rinji. With his younger self gone, Rinji stood alone in the dark. Bound. Running away. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Laughing loudly while covering his face, Rinji didn't even know what emotion he was expressing anymore. I'm Takeman Rinji. The guy who fears nothing. How could I possibly be bound? How could I possibly run away? Rinji slowly opened his eyes. Moonlight flooded his vision, making him squint. When he could see clearly, the first thing he saw was Hayasaka's worried face. Rinji, are you okay? She was sitting on the grass in the middle of the garden, and Rinji's head was resting on her lap. I'm fine. He sat up and shook his head, a small smile forming at the corners of his lips. Come to think of it, Hayasaka, you confessed to me just now, didn't you? Yes. Her cheeks reddened, but she still gathered her courage and said, so. I want to hear your answer. I could never give up on Karura. I really do love her. I see. As if she had already expected that, Hayasaka let out a faint, bitter smile. Sorry for troubling you. From now on. I haven't given my answer yet. Rinji said with a smile. Huh? My answer is. He leaned forward and wrapped his arms around her back. And in her wide-eyed confusion, he kissed her. Chapter 419, This is a Big Problem. December 21st. The final day of the Hoshin festival. For many, their lives quietly changed on this day. Fujiwara enjoyed her role as a detective chasing a phantom thief, though she never caught one. Ishigami confessed, and even though he didn't get an answer, he still went on dates with Tsubame during the festival. Ino finally took part in the bonfire party she had always dreamed of. But the biggest changes came for the two pairs, Shirogane and Kaguya, and Renji and Hayasaka. After being kissed by Kaguya, Shirogane was left holding his lips in shock as she walked away, feeling like he was floating. She kissed me. Kaguya kissed me. And she initiated it. If you asked how Shirogane felt right now, it was maybe 1 part shock. And 9 parts absolutely overjoyed. He liked Kaguya, and she was the one who kissed him. That made him so happy he could hardly think straight. But once he calmed down, he was just extremely shy. Wait. If we kissed, does that mean we're officially dating now? Like, isn't that how it works? He didn't really know what Kaguya was thinking when she kissed him. It was hard to guess. Thinking this way, he wandered through Shuchen's open courtyard. The bonfire party had ended. He wasn't heading home. Instead, he walked toward the student council office. Not that he didn't want to go home. He just forgot. The emotional shock had knocked his brain loose, and he subconsciously followed his usual path. Does kissing mean you're dating? I have to ask someone. But asking Kaguya directly feels awkward. So who else? The first person that came to mind was Renji. Among all his friends, only Renji had a girlfriend. He might know the answer. With that in mind, Shirogane found himself standing in front of the student council room and opened the door. He was just wondering why he ended up there when the lights turned on, revealing Renji sitting on the sofa. Oh, Renji. You didn't go home? Yeah. I guess. Good, you're here. I have something. Actually, President, since you're here, I have a question for you. Renji interrupted. Huh? You have a question? Shirogane was surprised. If he remembered correctly, this was the first time Renji ever asked him anything. At this point, Renji had just come back from being with Hayasaka. After breaking the chains in his heart, rediscovering his emotions, and kissing Hayasaka, he was now President. How do I travel back in time and beat the crap out of my brain-dead past self? Why is your question so heavy? Yes, he was so embarrassed he wanted to destroy his past self. After deciding not to run away anymore, Renji had kissed Hayasaka. Then the two of them watched the fireworks in the sky. They even returned to Shuchen and danced in front of the bonfire. Before the school closed, Hayasaka gently hugged Renji and then ran off. Even then, Renji smiled as he saw her off. And then he returned to the student council office. And then, once he calmed down, he remembered everything he'd done, covered his face, crouched down, curled up on the floor, and started rolling back and forth, trying to forget what had just happened. Thinking about how he kissed Hayasaka and said all those embarrassing lines, Renji felt like his life was basically over. Ugh! How could I do something that dumb? I seriously want to die. His expression was blank, and Shirogane felt second-hand embarrassment just watching him. Renji. What did you do? Nothing much. It's like when a high schooler remembers the edgy things he said in front of people. Wow. Yeah, that's rough. Hearing that, Shirogane immediately remembered himself dressed as Arsene Lupin on the rooftop waiting for Kaguya and instinctively covered his face. Suddenly I feel super lame too. I want to die. Don't say that. Now I want to die too. Two teenage boys fell into mutual despair. After a long silence, Renji was the first to speak. By the way, President. Did things work out with Shinomiya? Huh? Oh, that's actually what I came to ask you about. Shirogane steadied himself, though the image of Kaguya kissing him still kept flashing in his head, making his cheeks red. Renji. Do you think that, after kissing, it counts as being in a relationship? Why do you suddenly look so dead inside? Because the word kiss just makes me want to go back and kill myself. Renji replied blankly. But yes, I'd say that after a kiss, the two are in a relationship. I see. Because if a guy in a relationship kisses another girl, that's clearly cheating. So kissing equals dating. Makes perfect sense. No, why is your reasoning so bizarre? Did you initiate the kiss with Shinomiya? Smooth. She was the one who kissed me. That's really something I can actually imagine Shinomiya doing? Renji blinked. Then he calmed down. He figured Kaguya's mental state probably mirrored his. Wanting to kill her past, dumb self. I was surprised too. Shirogane muttered. By the way, don't tell Shinomiya I said anything. If she finds out I told someone else what happened between us, she'll definitely be mad. Of course I wouldn't go around telling people. Renji let out a sigh. Your issue is solved, President. Mine is just beginning. Did something happen? You should know I have a girlfriend, right? I do. What about it? Did you two have a fight? No, it's not a fight. Renji waved his hand. My relationship with Kura is actually going well. Then what's the problem? My number of girlfriends just increased by 1. That's a huge problem. Chapter 420, Tone Shift Night. The Shinomiya Mansion. Kaguya-sama, is it just me, or? Hayasaka looked at Kaguya sitting on the bed. Do you look kind of chubby? Since returning home, Kaguya had been sitting on her bed replaying everything that had happened with Shirogane. Her aura had become so adorable it gave off the illusion she had transformed into a 2-head-tall chibi character. Clutching a heart-shaped balloon, Kaguya practically looked like a mascot. It was just too amazing. So many tiny balloons popped out, and heart-shaped fireworks lit up the sky. For the record, Renji set those fireworks off. As expected of Renji-kun, he really gets me. No, He just really gets President Shirogane. Watching Kaguya get lost in her own world, Hayasaka sat down beside her. You seem pretty happy too, Hayasaka. Yeah, because I achieved my goal as well, Hayasaka said with a smile, though her cheeks were slightly flushed. That moment when Renji kissed her. His aura had a dangerous allure, a dominant energy she'd never seen from him before. It overwhelmed her completely. Feels like Renji has changed. Yes, he had. But now he was back to normal. That brief transformation was a result of breaking his mental shackles. Once he calmed down, he returned to being his usual self. Or perhaps even dumber than before. I see, so you and Renji-kun have made progress too. Kaguya smiled. Actually, President and I have taken a big step forward ourselves. Congrats. Care to share the details? Of course. President said he wants to go to Stanford and wants me to go to America with him. That. He looked so cute saying it with a red face, I couldn't help but agree. And then I kissed him. Hayasaka started wondering if Kaguya's brain had short-circuited. She actually initiated the kiss. Though she wasn't really in a position to criticize. Kaguya-sama, that was way too reckless. Hayasaka said seriously. Making such a decision about your future without consulting your father. If Lord Ganon finds out. Hayasaka couldn't help but think of Renji. Given how close Renji and Shirogane were, if Shirogane decided to take Kaguya to the US, Renji would surely support them. And if Kaguya's father, Ganon, tried to interfere at that point, the likely outcome was. Kaguya-sama, before you go to the US at least call Lord Ganon and let him know. Eh? Kaguya looked blankly at Hayasaka. Father would be mad if he found out, right? Mad? He'd kill you both if not for Renji. He's still your father. You can't just disappear on him. Hayasaka looked away. Even if I've been fired, I still work 10 years in this household. I should at least give a funeral gift if there's a burial. Kaguya. She was so love-struck she couldn't make sense of what Hayasaka was saying. And also, you said you kissed, right? Yeah, just a kiss between lovers. Kaguya said cheerfully. Just like in the movies. Mouth to mouth. Oh. And I slipped my tongue into his mouth. What? Hayasaka was dumbfounded. She couldn't believe Kaguya would do something like that. Let alone say it so casually. Why are you looking at me like that, Hayasaka? Kaguya asked. Didn't you and Renji-kun do the same? I never slipped my tongue in. Isn't that normal in a kiss? You saying that means something's already wrong with your head. Hayasaka groaned. That's practically the final step in a relationship. It's just a kiss, nothing more. If you don't believe me, just ask another girl who has a boyfriend. You've already got Renji-kun, don't you? I'll just ask you. I didn't French kiss. And Renji and Karura have been dating for ages and still haven't gone that far. I meant ask a normal couple. This is such a hassle. Kaguya gave her a Hayasaka, you're being weird again look and dialed Kashiwagi Nagisa's number. Soon, she got her answer. A regular kiss to going all the way takes about 3 months. A French kiss to going all the way takes 40 seconds.